Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is Monday, October 31st, 2022, and you're listening to the third annual Spooktacular and episode 150 of the Can I Say Something podcast. I'm your host and ghost with the most, Damian. Joining me today is...
It's your boy, Deej!
And...
Andy.
On today's show, we will be discussing what we've been watching, including X, Smile, House of the Dragon, and later down, we'll be counting down our top 5 favorite deaths in movies, and much, much more. Right into the show at Can I Say Something Podcast at gmail.com. At Bicycle on Twitter, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, rate and review it on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend, family member, or stranger. What's up, guys? How are we doing?
We're back, baby doll! Woo!
We're back. Bow, 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 bow. Spook.
I love how Andy still comes in after all this time. Just like,
Andy.
And I laugh.
Y'all know who I am.
That's your brand. You got to stick with the brand. You can't change it up. People know you.
Yeah, I still came in like, it's your boy, you know, I'm still doing the thing. He's still doing his thing.
That's you.
It's good.
That's your thing. You stick with it. That works for you.
We're talking
People
about things,
love
though. Don't think I didn't hear you change it. What, you're not the juicy caboose? You should have been the ghost with the juicy caboose or something. I don't know. I heard the change. Ghost, it was subtle, but I heard it.
The alliteration. The alliteration.
I appreciated it.
With the ghost.
Ghost with the
ghost
most.
with the juicy caboose.
Ghost with the most.
Yes.
Ghostess
the host. Because it rhymes with host. So I thought that worked pretty well, but I guess not, Mr. Critic.
No, it's fine. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Yes. Can you guys imagine? Could you believe? Cast your minds back to the heady days of pre-pandemic 2019. We got on these mics January 2019. Did you ever think we would be here at the top, episode 150?
I thought I would. I think so. Yep.
You had hope. There was promise.
Yeah.
In our young eyes. Yep.
I was thinking about damn good effort in.
I was thinking about this recently, and there are different versions of Damian over time. There's been different iterations of you, versions where you're an athlete, versions where you're a gamer. Currently, you're a podcaster, and Damian dives head first, and Damian is gonna hit the bottom when he goes in to whatever he is doing. So yes, I 100% believed you would have at least 150 episodes on your quest to top the podcast charts.
Yes. I have different eras. People on TikTok and Twitter talk about their different eras. A lot of people talk about their villain era, talk about their goblin era. People change and people, metastasize and become butterflies and go from, a little cocoon, a little, what's before butterfly? What do butterflies start as? Little, not slugs.
Caterpillars.
Caterpillars, yes. I go from a caterpillar to a butterfly and then they die. So yeah, I've changed very much over the years. And yeah, this is my thing right now. Might not be a thing in the future, but for now, this is the thing I very much enjoy.
No,
but
you will get to the top. You will peak. You will conquer this podcast universe, and then you'll quit cold turkey.
I haven't even begun to peak.
He'll get that bag and he'll never be seen again.
On to the next thing.
Yes, exactly. Yes. This isn't a starter podcast. This is a finisher podcast.
That's
Golden
right.
God, rage knows no bounds, yada, yada, yada. Yes, exactly.
There's like a time limit too, I think, where there's like a three-year thing, I think. It's like with people, after 3 years, you say for friendship or something like that, if you can survive 3 years with a friend or something, then that's like a friend that you'll have barring any kind of crazy circumstance, but it's like a friend that you're just going to have around for the rest of your life, there's a cutoff point. This is, like you said, though, this is a 3-year mark for the podcast. So if you can push through this wall, just keep going. Maybe this is something maybe this is the finisher podcast. Maybe this is what you do.
This ain't a
finisher.
This isn't a
finisher,
wall.
Damian.
This
He's
isn't
a
a wall.
podcaster.
This is a ceiling, and you're going through it, baby.
glass ceiling. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a lot to cover, but I just want to say I did have many evolutions in my life. You're correct, Andy, that this is the newest version of Damian. There might be another iteration in the future.
Cyclist.
But if you go back, bicyclist, yep, I was a cyclist for a while.
Triathlete.
Triathlete, yep, did that.
Hearthstonist.
Hearthstonist, yep, there was that era, Hearthstone Damian.
Rocket Leagueist.
Hearthstone Damian was...
Oh, yeah, man. Those were dark times.
Those were dark days. But he fucking did it, didn't he?
He did, yes, Grandmaster.
I mean, if you think about it, I was, the stuff that I'm interested in, have been interested in, the things I've sort of moved from one thing to another. There always has been the sort of a through line from my early 20s of always being like the movie guy. We always went out to movies. That was the first sort of thing that we did together, right? As a group, me, you, and Melvin, and that DDR. Yeah, well, we did DDR pre-movie or post-movie. That was a thing. But if you think about stuff we did early on, it was always movies. We always went.
Yeah, we always did a movie like every weekend.
Yes, exactly. So I think we're coming full circle now. We enjoyed the movies. We came out of them and said, yes, that was good. I like that because it was good, or I didn't like it because it was bad. But now, a bit older, and we can start to dig into these things in a more nuanced and more profound way. Correct?
Sure. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Preach.
I use we
Preach,
loosely because
yes.
I still don't think I give you the response that you're looking for, but I still think I still got that 20-year-old version. Yeah, it was fine. It was a fine movie. I'd watch it again.
Action. I want action. I don't want words. I didn't come here to read. I came here to jizz in my pants at the action. Don't make me think. Don't make me feel. Just give me that action. I'll be fine, right?
I mean, at that time too, a lot of Jessica Alba. So just show me Jessica Alba, and I'll be. That's what I came for. So.
Yes. So Speaking of things, Speaking of things we've been watching, and speaking of the spooky dookie season, still going. We're coming to the end here, but we still have 3 more days of the spooktacular season. Andy, you watched a horror film called X, directed by Ty West. What did you think of this film?
I don't want to be anticlimactic from the get-go here, but I thought it was pretty fucking lame. The death scenes were lame. The sex scenes were tight. I kind of feel I'm around a lot of elderly people, and I felt bad for Pearl. Old people get horny. Her fucking husband was just like, no, I can't do this. My heart is too weak. He really should have just taken one for the team and fucked his wife. That's all she wanted.
Died of a heart attack?
Didn't they?
Yes.
I feel like there was a sex scene in there where they do get it on. Correct?
Not he and his husband. Not in X. I realized afterwards there's a prequel and a sequel.
Yes, called Pearl.
Incoming. I didn't realize that, but no, in X he never fucks his wife.
Oh, interesting. I thought I had that seared into my brain of old people fucking.
No, instead he she gets naked and like cuddles with Maxine.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Yes,
he helps her strap corpses to the ceiling so she can fuck their corpses, I guess.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
overall,
he really
out of 10?
He really should have just, risked his heart attack. If he dies, he dies. For the love of God, just fuck your wife, man. She's begging you. You're murdering people for her.
Right. Yeah. So Ty West has said this is like a love letter to porn and also to the horror movies of yore, because horror movies back in the day, even now still, porn and horror movies have sort of existed on the margins of society. You don't really talk about them. You don't talk about porn or really down and dirty horror movies. So he was sort of making that connection there of pornography and also horror films as being this thing you just don't talk about in polite society.
Yet here we are talking about horror movies and porn.
Are we polite? Are we polite people?
Touche.
Don't lump me in with you degenerates. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So you saw another horror film that I talked about a couple weeks ago called Smile. Did you see this in theaters or did you see this at home?
This is actually the first movie we saw in theaters since COVID. Actually,
so tell me, before you get into the movie itself, how was the movie going experience for the first time in 2 years?
That was great. Oh man, we went to a Mexican restaurant beforehand and got plastered. We went to the grocery store next door and bought $30 worth of candy,
Nice.
and
Gotta.
single cans of beer to take with us into the theater. We were straight up teenagers for a night. It was awesome.
You snuck
Nice.
beer in?
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
Badass.
Nobody cares. Nobody. They don't even
No.
check your tickets anymore. I don't know what they do
You know,
in
it is true.
Massachusetts, but
Yeah, they check tickets still, but I never see anybody come in anymore, like to scope around. I mean, they're definitely. Well, like, what are you looking for? You counting everybody in here? No. Goofball,
Yeah.
get out of here. Definitely not
I
looking
think
for beer.
they probably have a general idea of who's come into the theater and who's gotten tickets, but like definitely nobody.
Yeah.
Whenever we've gone to this particular theater, they've never actually checked our tickets. We just walk in. They tell us
Yeah.
go to your
Alright,
theater and blah blah blah. But yep, brought in beer.
So
and
yeah,
candy.
I've had a few experiences going to the theater this year. Maybe it's because I've seen I go to the theater like 20 times a year, so odds are I'm going to have a bad experience once in a while. So I've had people rustling their candy, talking, blah blah, being rude. How was the audience? Was there a big audience there? Not really.
Not really. It's a college town,
Yeah.
and surprisingly, the theater here is always pretty empty. I mean, there was probably more people at this movie because I think it was maybe the first or second week it was out. So, I mean, there were probably maybe 20 people or so, but I've never seen a full theater at this town's cinema.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the theater going experience. Tell me about the film itself. What'd you think of it?
Film itself, again, like, it was pretty mediocre. Like,
Yeah.
it was pretty mediocre. Is the gist of it. A-Train was in it. I was surprised to see him there.
He was A-Train was in it. Yep.
And it's one of those things. I feel like the movie itself may have a longer lasting effect because of the fact that it attributes itself to a smile, something that everybody does and likes, and they attempted to
Yes.
make smiles creepy. And they had an interesting marketing campaign too, where they had people at baseball games, smiling at the camera, and
Yes,
they
I
got
saw
them to
that. That was cool.
pan over
Yeah.
to the. So they had a pretty interesting marketing campaign, and I do bet that over time we'll see a lot of people, perhaps myself included, just making the smile to be weird.
Right.
But the movie itself, meh.
Yeah. So specifically, like the performances you didn't like, the story, the sort of jump scares, because this movie is known for. That's why I texted you about this. The one thing I sort of took away from it, the things that a lot of people are sort of, I don't know, bothered by, or just like the one thing that everyone's talking about the movie is just like the constant jump scares throughout. Would that bother you?
It was almost exclusively jump scares. It bothered Ilgum. She was pretty. She was even more disappointed with the movie than I was because jump scares are just lame to her. The jump scares, they all got me. Not gonna lie, but I
Right.
mean, yeah, it doesn't make for a particularly interesting or memorable movie.
Right. Yeah.
Jump scares are awful.
Yeah.
They're the worst. I mean, I can know you're right next to me and you just scream in my face and I'm gonna jump. Like it's
Yeah.
so cheap. Like there's no real reaction there. You're just startling me and it's annoying.
Yeah. What'd you think of it, Damian?
Yeah. So
There's a couple times like Carrie's like snuck up behind me, or not. She just walks up behind me, and I turn around and she doesn't even think like she's being sneaky or anything. And I turn around and
yeah.
I cock back. I got my fist up in the air. I was like, ah! And she's like, "What are you doing, you psychopath?" Like, don't sneak up on me. She's like, "I was just walking by."
As much as Ilgum hates jump scares in movies, she also hates them in real life, which is super
Yeah,
disappointing because it was one of my favorite things to do. And
you jerk.
I can't. She'll kill me. She'll divorce me.
You deserve it. Till death do you part,
Or
jump scare
scares.
me.
Okay. So there's some movies you've been watching. What TV you been watching? I think you mentioned Portlandia, right? Because I have that written down here.
Yeah, that's just been kind of our background music.
Yep.
Whenever we don't have cable, and whenever we don't want to watch something in particular, our TV has these internet channels built in, and one of them is just Portlandia 24/7. So we've left it on that. It's hilarious. Like the first time I watched Portlandia, there were a few different skits, a few different characters that I thought were particularly funny. Now that I'm watching it as I'm a little bit older, they're all hilarious, and they've aged like cheese or wine. I don't know what's better. They've aged like wine and cheese.
Okay. Wine and cheese. Yep.
Wine and cheese.
Nice. Wine and cheese. Yeah. Nice. I gotta catch up on that. There's like six seasons now for that, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I've seen a lot of reruns here lately.
Yep. Nice. You also checked out Dahmer on Netflix. That was the thing that was blowing up Netflix recently. Number one thing on there for a long time, right?
Yeah, that really went viral, sorta. That one was pretty good. I think they did a really good job exemplifying the bullshit where, you know, as time has passed or in the immediate aftermath, how people were kind of glorifying Dahmer, racist bigots that were latching onto him as some sort of superhero. I feel like they did a really good job with that. And then towards the end and at the end, really putting an emphasis on his victims, which, I mean, truly, I never heard anybody talk about, which I guess is sort of the case for most serial killers. I almost said superheroes. Serial killers.
Homelanders.
Victims. You know, you always talk about what they did and all that and how they did it, but you never really talk about who they did it to. And there's a strong emphasis on that part of it, sort of in a social justice-y kind of way. But it was tactful.
Right. Yeah.
Subtle.
Yeah. That's... Yeah, the stuff they always think about when talk about Dahmer is how it was just so obvious. It's obvious in retrospect to a lot of times when they talk about who he was and the things he did, and neighbors are sometimes like, you know, I knew it. I knew the entire time. You know, no, you didn't. If you did, you would have said something. But also,
Linda, the block smells like rotten meat. You didn't say anything. Don't lie.
Exactly. But also, there was multiple instances of people coming out of the house. Especially, I think there was an Asian guy, right, that came out of his house and was bleeding profusely and had a concussion. And the cops came by and they were like, "So, is this like a consensual gay thing, or what's going on here?" It's like, yeah.
This is a bit.
This is a bit.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Are you okay? And then they just like sort of ignored it, and it's just.
Yeah, there was a lot of.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a lot of discrimination. You know, they had to go get deloused because they stepped into a gay man's apartment. The police did.
Yes.
They went back. They said they were going back to get deloused. That kind of stuff, and yeah, that there was one. That Asian kid you mentioned, he was 14 years old, and the police actually brought him back to the apartment and gave him back to Dahmer.
Yes.
Because he said it was his boyfriend, and they didn't want to deal with the gay shit.
Yes, the gay shit, and then sort of a major theme running throughout like any true crime story you listen to is it's not really incompetence on the police part. I mean, it is some of that, but it's also just like it is, like you said, discriminating against the gay people, against minorities, very much discriminating against sex workers. They're targets of serial killers for a long time, and they are just sort of like, all right, well, whatever. They were asking for it because they were out there trying to get money for sex, so fuck them anyways. So yeah, a lot of discrimination on the part of law enforcement in a lot of those stories. You'll see that a lot.
Yep.
Yes, sir. So
what do you guys think about stuff like that?
Yeah.
Do you think it's just like, I mean, it just seems like every time there's like, let's who was the one that Zac Efron played? What was that guy?
He was Ted Bundy.
Yeah, okay, so Bundy, and then you got like Dahmer. Like every time something, because there's always like a new one popping up, new documentary, the new how this was done, blah blah blah, like that. It's just like, imagine being like a family of a victim though, and just like say like new Netflix special, and you see that rise like #1. It's like cool, like kind of just get your entertainment off, like something that caused me so much misery. And additionally, like there was we talked about the last podcast on the left, how I enjoy listening to those guys talk about that. Well, I did. I don't really listen to them anymore, but because it always seemed like they took the piss out of the serial killer sales, like just kind of like, oh yeah, like he did this, oh yeah, and then they just have like jokes at his expense, and like I get why they're still talking about it, but like it's not like, I don't know, when you got like a documentary like this, it almost feels like they're memorializing it. It's just like bringing it to the front light. It's just like talking about it in a serious way. It seems like that's exactly what they wanted to be remembered for, and where you just fall right into it when you make things like this. Do you guys have like that same opinion on that?
In fact, actually, in Dahmer, if you've watched the series, they talk a lot about that, about how there were comic books coming out and stuff that the victims actually sued to get profits for. Even Dahmer's father wrote a book, and the way they played it out in the series is that he wasn't necessarily doing it for profit, but the victims' families sued, and they got 100% of the profits of the book sales.
Oh, okay. That's good at least.
Well, yeah.
Yep. I mean, I haven't watched that documentary, but
I can tell.
I just had that thought. Like like the thing is, like I don't know. I don't like hearing about it. I don't like knowing details. Like the guy existed, and that's shitty. But like I don't want to like learn anything about it or about him, But at the same time, it's like how did other people feel about this? I don't know. I know how I feel, but I was wondering how you guys feel about it, because you guys actually watched it. And
I didn't watch it, but I heard about it. I know the story.
Oh, you didn't watch it? Okay.
No, I know the story pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like who doesn't? It's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, why do we need another documentary about like this?
I don't know.
Like all you're doing is just reminding people, every 10 years, like this bad man existed.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need it. So let's see. What else you been watching? You're watching The Patient on FX?
Yeah. We almost exclusively, I think it's on Hulu is where we started it. But yeah, we almost exclusively started it because it's got Steve Carell in it. Yep. It's not a comedy, but it's pretty good. It's kind of slow in the storytelling. It feels like things could have moved a little quicker here, but it's basically about a therapist who is kidnapped by his patient, and his patient is trying to get help stop killing people. He basically is killing everybody that gets on his nerves.
Yeah.
And yeah, we haven't finished it yet. I think there's still 1 or 2 more episodes that haven't been released yet.
All right.
Yep.
Would you recommend?
Yeah, would you recommend it?
Not really.
Nah. Okay.
That's the one where I see the previews. Like it's Steve Carell. He's all scruffy and he's like screaming. Like he's like, ah! And it's like, oh, wow, it's a side of you I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like screaming angrily.
Right. Yeah, Carell's been doing a few things in the past, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. Actually, probably more, because The Big Short came out around, say, 2014, 2015. That was about the global financial crisis. So he was in that. He had a really good performance as the psychotic wrestling coach and Foxcatcher. This guy killed the guy he was training. I forget the guy's name, but it was a DuPont. Owned a...
Yeah, Kurt Angle trained under him.
Yes. So he played a guy named DuPont that killed... was it college wrestling guy? College wrestler?
Yeah, collegiate. Yeah.
Collegiate wrestler, exactly. So
he might have even been an Olympian.
He was getting up there, but yeah, he was really good in that. So yeah, Carell's been doing a few things past few years that have been not comedy.
He's also been doing Space Force, which is pretty funny.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I haven't heard good things about it, but
No, I think
you said
generally,
it's
yeah,
good,
people
so.
don't like it, but when
Yeah.
we watched it and we thought it was pretty funny. So
Nice. Then tell me, let me take a piss, and then you tell me about Love is Blind.
oh yeah,
So yeah, you can just talk. Yeah, go ahead.
that is sort of an accidental guilty pleasure. It's something that Ilgum started watching just to pass the time, because that's the kind of shit she does. Just watch these random, awful, horrible reality shit, like just to have on in the background. But basically, the gist is that these single people interview each other in these pods with a wall between them, and they're not able to see each other. And over the course of a week or two, I think, they try to find love without actually seeing another person. And then at the end of the time, if they think they found someone that they love, they propose. And then the rest of the series follows their relationship through marriage and or not marriage. You know, it all builds up to a climax where, you know, so-and-so may say no at the altar. But yeah, it's surprisingly interesting. At least the last season was. We just started the newest season, and it's not quite as interesting. But the characters in the second, I think I saw the second season with Ilgum for the most part, and the characters were just really, really off the wall. Like, they were all cokeheads or just really bizarre personalities.
We're just paid to act like assholes.
Maybe, yeah. But in this third season that we just started, they're much more realistic human beings, so it's not as interesting. But we're still watching it.
Very cool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think
Cool.
about it, Damian?
I haven't watched it, Love is Blind, because I don't partake in that.
You don't
call
dabble
it
in that
smut.
nonsense.
Don't dabble in that smut reality show nonsense. That troglodyte behavior. No, that's not me.
I've watched a few Pay Money Wubby on Twitch. He'd say he was playing The Sims, but he was streaming 90 Day Fiance.
Yes.
And it's funnier when you're watching it with like a chat room, and they're just like, you get your inside jokes made, and you got somebody ragging on it and everything. But there are some wild reality shows out there. The 90 Day Fiancés, the characters that they had on there were super. I don't know, just they ranged at like who was being shown on TV. There was another one that he started doing that he quickly got off of. It was like this Shauna Ray or something. She's a grown woman, but she looks like a 12-year-old child.
Uh-huh.
And she's trying to find a boyfriend. And he's like, I don't even know if we can stream this kind of thing on Twitch. Like, I know she's old enough, but it don't look like she's old enough. You know, she looks like she's 12.
Right.
And then there was even this other one too, where it was like the people on the show, they were autistic, and they were trying to match up other autistic people, and it's just like, this feels odd.
Yeah.
Like this is like the bar for like fucked up for reality shows. Like, I know, like, you know, like, you shouldn't like, oh yeah, they're autistic, they shouldn't have a show like this, but they seem like almost exploitation. Obviously, it's reality shows,
Right.
and it's just like this. I feel weird watching this. We're not gonna watch this one, but
Right.
yeah, like the stuff that's out there is just wild.
Yeah, that's nuts. That sounds terrible. I will not be partaking in that. Thank you very much. All right.
I didn't even know you make a show like that. Honestly,
Right. Yeah, you can do anything really. If you put your mind to it. Put your mind to it, you can do anything in this world.
Yeah, Lifetime will show it.
Yeah, so let's get to some of the books we've been reading. Because I want to talk to all of you guys about the first book, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into the second and third book. But Andy, how far are you into The Way of Kings?
I am about 20%, I think, 25% through The Way of Kings. I am at the part where I'm just really getting to know. Oh shit! Shh. Shalon.
Names.
Shalon.
Shalon.
Just really getting to know
Yeah.
Shalon and her true
No, it's
intentions
Shalon.
of.
Definitely Shalon.
It's Shalon, really?
Yes, it is. Did
you say
multiple
Shalon?
times?
Yeah, I call her Shalon.
It's obviously
Listen,
Shalon.
we all don't use audiobooks here, okay? We all don't use audiobooks.
Okay, fancy
I have
pants.
no
reading
idea.
with your
I'm
eyeballs.
just winging it, buddy.
Read with your eyeballs? That's weird. Nobody does that anymore.
Is it at least Kaladin?
yes, it's Kaladin.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, just getting to the part with Shalon where we're kind of seeing her true intentions of why she wants to become a pupil of this person in Garbrandt's city. The city? I don't know who she's trying
I don't
to be a
know.
pupil of.
You heard it.
She's trying to become a pupil of some high level person, but it's all to steal her shard blade. That's what she wants.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Kaladin
Which
is
may
in the
or may
process
not be
of-
real.
The shard blade?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a
Dope,
spoiler.
right?
Yeah. Well, I said it was
Shard
either
blades
or
are
not.
dope.
They are
Well,
dope.
I'm just gonna tell you what else I know about this series,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna go
Yes.
get a drink
All right.
while you guys
Yes.
fill this shit with spoilers. So
Yes.
and then I'm also on the other side of this with Shalon being in Gabranth. I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
Gabranth.
But anyway,
Gabranth.
Yeah, I
Gabranth.
think you're doing.
That city
You're
sounds-
mixing your Final Fantasy 12 in there.
Fuck, you're right. That's what it is. Anyway, that city sounds dope, and I want to go there. But
Yes.
also, Kaladin is in the process of sort of building his bridge crew into something.
Bridge gang.
His
Bridge
gang.
4.
Bridge 4, yeah, into something
Yep.
meaningful for him, I guess. He's
Bronze.
making an effort. So that's where I'm at. And actually, I just got a notification on Libby that they returned the person returned it, so I'll get it back. I'm gonna wait till Monday.
Congratulations.
Thank
All
you.
right. So yes.
All right,
So,
I'm
so
gonna
at this
step away,
point, spoilers.
get a beer.
Yes. All right. Spoilers from now on for the next 5 to 10 minutes for the Way of Kings, or for the Stormlight Archive, basically all of it. Let's expect all of it, all the spoilers. So I have some notes here. Let's
I'm
see.
excited.
Yes, so we didn't really talk about the book at all. He just sort of dove into it. But Brandon Sanderson is the guy we talk about, Brando Sando, as he's colloquially known as.
Sando.
Brando Sando. He wrote the first Way of Kings draft in 2003. The manuscript was differed slightly from the published text. He referred to it back then as the Oathshard series. So yeah, he's been writing for a long time. We were saying before the pod that I'm not the biggest Brando Sandos fan. I've read a lot of the Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, and then Brandon Sanderson came on to help finish it. I feel like Robert Jordan, guys like Frank Herbert with Dune, even modern stuff like with The Expanse, James S.A. Corey writing The Expanse. It's just more dynamic. Things are moving forward much more quickly in these other books that I just mentioned, and the writers write in a more dynamic way. I have a review from Goodreads that I want to quote here because it's very much in line with my analyses of the book or my preference of the book. And it was one of the big ones, so I thought they would just have it right here, but apparently not. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
ahead.
know
Yeah,
what
you
you're
go.
saying.
Go
With the
ahead.
dynamic stuff. The book that was one of my biggest problems was I felt like it was kind of a slog to get through at times. Like there was a lot of like moping from the main character's part. Just felt like you were treading mud, for a bit. And then like what really got me, like when I was reading The Way of Kings, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna stop after this book. I'm just gonna finish this book just to say that I did. And then the ending was like I was jacked to the tits reading the ending, and I was like, all right, I'm in for book 2. And then even when I started book 2 again, it had the same thing where it's like, all right, well, you got 1,300 pages to read. Like obviously, there's a lot of filler, and it just like you didn't move it around as fast. But then I got to the end of book 2, and I was like, I'm jacked to the tits again. Like he knows how to close,
Right.
always
yeah.
be closing.
He can close, yeah. Closes very well, I'll say that.
Did you find that review?
Unfortunately, no. Oh, okay. So I think I found it. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, he says, what troubles me about The Way of Kings is that I felt like I was reading the fantasy equivalent of a walkthrough the Field Natural History Museum. It's very thorough, it's very detailed, it's very interesting, the world is, but it's equally devoid of action. You've put it another way. A saltwater fish tank at the Shed Aquarium. Watching the sea anemone wave pink arms at the clownfish darts in and out. It's interesting, but worth 6 hours of undivided attention. So he says, narrative shifts primarily between three people. Shallan, a penniless noble who wants to apprentice herself to a scholarly heretic intending to steal her soul jewel. Kaladin, a former surgeon and talented soldier who now wears the slave brand. And Dalinar, a prince and uncle to the king. I like Dalinar. He's a very, very compelling character.
Dalinar's cool.
Dalinar is very cool. So they say, it's a slow, thoughtful book, close to the exact opposite of The Alloy of Law, the only Sanderson book they read before. He builds a complete world with very varied landscapes and a unique social and spiritual culture. I should have loved it, but what I found is a complete absence of grippiness that takes you by the throat experience. The problem? A lack of dynamic tension. Internal tension comes out in the conflicts each of the three main characters are facing and their indecision on how to act. So that's a lot of it too, of pretty much every character is equally as indecisive, right? There's all of these people
flip-flopping sons of bitches.
Yeah, so there is really no version of, I don't know, like a Tywin or like a Cersei or like somebody like that. And I think in a way it's unfair to compare this book to that because it's a very different book. But, in Game of Thrones, you had so many, all the plot lines were very compelling, and all the plot lines you wanted to come back to because you had, these interpersonal conflicts, but not even conflicts too, of they would pair people up and you'd be interested to see how each person played off each other and how each person sort of influenced each other to become a better or worse person. So you had people like, Brienne and Jaime, their whole storyline in season 3, Bronn and Jaime, their whole thing. And obviously Arya and the Hound had very compelling, interpersonal, not even conflict, but like you said, each character seemed to bounce off each other and seemed to shape each other in a very interesting way. And I'm not just seeing this here, especially with Kaladin and Shallan, this sort of like back and forth, will they, won't they sort of thing seems sort of very, I don't know, artificial and sort of, it's just not compelling. I don't know. They both seem to like each other, sort of, but I think it takes a very skilled writer to sort of craft a very organic and natural relationship progression, and I feel like he just isn't able to do that here, unfortunately.
Yeah. The Shallan thing with Shallan and Kaladin relationship, it has a nice twist. I don't know if you've gotten to the point yet.
Nope,
I'm pretty sure Adolin.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Sorry. I didn't know you were back.
Just got here.
We'll talk.
You probably don't even know who Adolin is yet either. So.
Adolin.
I think I've heard the name.
Adolin.
I've heard the name.
All right.
Adolin is the son or the nephew of
That's right.
He's Dalinar's kid.
Dalinar's kid. Why is Adolin the king if he's the son of Dalinar? Doesn't he usually?
Adolin's not the king.
Who's the king?
Ekelar's the king.
Oh, see, there you go again with all these fucking Ekelar,
Ekelar,
because Dalinar's brother.
Yeah.
Dalinar's brother Gavilinar was the king, and his son Alkalar is the current
It's
king.
not Alkalar. What is it? Alkali?
Alkalar.
Alkalar, yes, sure.
They all end with R.
They are, yes. Dalinar, Alkalar, Alinar. Sure. Yeah. Alinalda. Yep.
But yeah, you are right. I do want to say we can move on to Andy's back, but I will say that you're right about the characters between like George Martin and Sanderson, where it's like each one of them, like their personalities played. Like that's the thing with George Martin was that in his he loves writing like a scene, like he lives for that shit. So when you had like these people having these battle of wits, the dialogue that they had, what he had was just like they meshed with each other. They flowed. They created growth. All this stuff. That's something that Sanderson definitely doesn't have with his characters. It feels like you can't just take any of those characters and put them together. Like you can have Kaladin and Syl. Like that's a fun relationship. You can have.
That's it.
Okay, see, that's all I got. That's all I got. So you're absolutely right.
It's actually,
Right,
that's
exactly.
I mean,
actually
as you
one of
get
the
further
things
along in the book,
I'm not very far into the book yet, but yeah, that the Kaladin and Syl relationship is one of the things I've enjoyed to this point.
yeah,
Yes.
there's a few. I mean, you can see where he tries, but like Kaladin and Moash, I think that's going to be a character.
Moash, yeah.
I don't know if you got to the whole bridge thing. That's one of the characters in
And
there.
Rock.
But like the relationship he builds bridge for, that's that's a fun thing. That's a fun little group that
Yes.
you got going on through all these stories. But honestly, like there's just what you said. There's no, these characters really don't bring out stuff in each other.
Yes, exactly.
That George Martin has, and the world building. He's absolutely right. Amazing world building. Like
Yes.
when the Parshendi are introduced, it's
Yes.
just like I want to know more about these things. And then when I finally got to learn about them, I'm like, okay, I'm not interested anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how the hype dies like that,
Yeah.
but like it does.
Yes,
Really, I
does.
swear, like what keeps me hooked on these books is the last 100 pages. Because the last 100 pages, like I'm just all in, and I'm like, I'm ready for the next book, and then I have to suffer through 1,100 pages, and then I get to the last 100, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it again,
Yeah.
run it back.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
son
the
of a
thing that's
bitch.
interesting. Well, yeah, we can move on, but yeah, the world building and the overall story of the world was what kept me moving forward. And I think that's, something, it's an interesting thing that he can sort of not have very compelling characters or compelling like interpersonal conflicts going on between each characters, but he kept me wanting to read just to see how the events of the world would play out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and minor spoiler, I guess. Andy, do you know what a chasm fiend is yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, they're just like these.
I'll take my headphones.
But-
oh wait, the fiend. Yeah. The big dinosaur.
Yeah, the
looking
things they
thing with,
fight for the
like,
gem hearts.
Had 8 arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Crustaceans.
They just killed that before my book got automatically returned to the library.
Okay. Yeah, that was like there's these giant creatures, and they're just like, like these are a big deal. This is a huge deal. And then like in the later books, they're just okay. We're not doing chasm fiends anymore. Okay, that's cool. I guess I don't know how did something so massive just kind of like
Yeah.
disappear. It's stuff like that where it's just like a lot of some of the stuff that I get hooked on. It's just like it almost feels like a
That first
chopped off storyline.
that battle was pretty cool with the chasm fiend. It was
Yeah,
that was kind of
he's a good battle. Yeah, he writes a good battle.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yes. So very cool. I think I will maybe pause it at the end of book 3. I know there's a book 4, and he's writing 2 or 3 more to the end of it, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pause there and move on to other stuff. I've been huge into fantasy this year. Obviously read Dune last year, read Wheel of Time this year, and some other Patrick Rothfuss. So I think I'm going to hit the old pause button on the fantasy stuff for now.
2 things.
Yeah.
One, can you actually believe that there's another series of books that he's written that people actually suggest that you stop, like from book 2 to book 3, they suggest you stop and go read those other 3 books before you read book 3, just so you better understand the world. And it's like, I'm definitely not doing that. But cool. Because there are characters that are introduced from those 3 books.
Yep.
And everyone's just like, oh shit, it's this guy. And I'm sitting here like, he seems cool.
Was it Lift?
I don't know who he is.
Lift
but
in the
he
third
seems
book.
cool. But quickly to go back to the George Martin thing, George, you know how the Wheel of Time, Sanderson stepped in and he did some of that stuff.
Right.
People were clamoring that Sanderson should step in if George Martin dies before he finishes his series, which he will.
Yes.
That he should finish Martin's series, and it's like these 2 authors are like totally different. Like, how do you think Sanderson can write like Martin? Like, it makes 0 sense.
Yeah, no, it would never happen, or never. It would never work if it did happen. Yeah.
Yeah, Martin actually has it like in his will that nobody can touch his shit when he dies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's so petty like that. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So let's bounce over to let's bounce over to some stuff Andy's been doing. Andy's playing Slay the Spire. Any more of that going on in your life?
I haven't played in a couple of weeks, but yeah, pretty much. I've haven't really had time to sit down and play anything on the big screen, but the portability of the Switch is paramount in having time to game these days. And I'm stuck at what is it, Ascension 4?
Okay. Yep.
Been playing with the defect almost exclusively, trying to, chase the dragon of those lightning orbs.
Right.
But yeah, man, the lightning orb build is amazing. When you can just, keep expanding how many orbs you have, fill them with lightning. You get the power that triggers your rightmost orb twice every time, and then lightning strikes all enemies every time.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
Yep. It's OP.
Yep, but it's really hard to get all the right pieces.
Yeah,
just when
exactly.
you think
that was the pain in the ass part about that game.
Just when you think you have all the right pieces, you realize that you haven't been taking any block cards.
Yup.
Yeah, and even you can even get the block cards, but then it just depends on whether you draw them at the right time or not.
Or which boss you get. Like
But I mean, that's the thing, though.
There's one, if you've been stacking power cards, and then you get to the third world, and it's the wolf, you're fucked.
Yeah.
There's
a sweet spot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's like a sweet spot where like the attack and the defense actually there's really not. You can't you if you're either a glass cannon or you find the defensive cards where you can just like turtle shit. Like there's no like middle ground where like you're strong enough and you have enough defense to weather every single boss. Like, and that's another thing too. When you come across these bosses, it's like, oh shit, I found the one that has like all the defense in the world, and every time I attack it, I get hit for like 6 damage, 12 damage, 24 damage. It multiplies by 2, and pretty soon, next time I hit you, you just like one shot me. Like, it's. I understand that's the point of the game, that it's random like that for a reason.
There is that middle ground.
Like, holy shit, it's so frustrating sometimes.
That middle ground does exist, but yeah, it really is just like chasing a dragon because the randomness that you get with having to draw cards.
Yeah, do you know that you can scroll the map up to see what the boss will be, so you can sort of craft your deck from the beginning to sort of try to counter what the boss's skills are.
You can see future bosses?
I did not know that.
No, not future bosses. The boss of the level.
The boss for that level. I knew that. By the time you get to the third level, hopefully you've already started a pretty solid deck.
Yeah.
And if you get the wrong boss, it's hard to just recalibrate your deck.
Yeah. A lot of the second level bosses too, right? Or maybe no, it's a second level boss, right? The knight is the second level boss, or one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can fuck you over too with those.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you get him down to a third health and he starts just hitting you for like 44 times 2 every time.
Yeah.
Yup.
I mean, at that point, that's why I like the silent, because the silent has a couple different cards that will. Yeah, he has a couple different cards that will make it so your next, or the enemy's next 2 or 3 turns, he can only hit you for a maximum of one hit or 1 damage, right?
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good card.
Oh yeah,
that's a very useful one. So I don't know. I haven't played the defect enough to know, but I don't know if he has something like that where he can either not take damage for a couple turns, or sort of negate any damage, or stun the guy, because that's pretty much the only thing you can do at the end of the game, or stage 3 and beyond, is you get the only real way to survive is to get those cards and draw them at the right time, right?
Yeah. There's the event scene or whatever that you get the oh shit, what are they called?
Donut guy?
The ghost cards. I forget what they're called off the top of my head. The one there, you get 5 cards, and they will make the opponent's next attack only deal 1 damage, and you can stack those, and you can upgrade them too to where they don't, to where they aren't ethereal.
Yeah.
So those can be very useful,
good.
but I think it lowers your max HP a certain amount.
It does, yes.
So
yep.
It's only particularly useful if you've also been doing things to stack your HP.
Yeah. You kind of you either have to get it or no, you want to get that card and then recover your max HP, right? Because if you're getting like, say you have like 90 max HP and then you pick up those cards, it'll cut your HP in half to 45. So what we want to do is get
it a percentage?
No, I thought it cuts it in half.
I don't think it's in half. I think it takes a certain a flat number, like it takes 25 or 30 off the top.
Okay.
So if you've been stacking and then you come across that, it can be great. Same with the vampire cards.
Yes.
Where it swaps all of your strikes for bite. That can be great. I've never gotten it where it's worked out for me. But if you've gotten to the point where your HP is up around like 90 to 100 and then you get it and it drops your HP back to 70 to 75, then it's useful.
Yeah.
But also,
it's a good game.
Whenever I get the vampire strike or the vampire card, it's either right before or right after I've upgraded all my strikes.
Oh no. That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game. Good game. I haven't played a bunch of gacha games. I pretty much replaced, because Slay the Spire was the game I would play if I get home and have like an hour or two and just play a couple rounds of Slay the Spire. Now I'm doing gacha games. I'm totally on the I got 2 gacha games going at the same time. One of them came out recently. It's called Infinite Magic Infinite Magic Raid, which is just like a bunch of gacha game names all smushed together, which makes it sound like it's just some sort of like Chinese knockoff, but it's actually pretty good. Got like 100,000 people in the Discord right now. They do updates pretty much every day. They're adding new, not abilities, but new events every day for like, double. If you pull a thing, you get double the guys, you get double elites or whatever. So it's on the phone, it's on iOS, and I actually re-rolled like 4 times the day it came out. I re-rolled like 4 or 5 times to try to get the best characters, try to get the best pulls. And I feel like this game, more than any other gacha game that I played in a while, is very much aware that it's a gacha game. So it'll just sort of drop you in at first and then be like, all right, the onboarding process takes maybe like an hour. So it very much knows that you're here to re-roll. It like gives you like 50 pulls within the first like half hour. So if you don't get very good group of guys at the very beginning, if you don't get like, the elites or the legendary guys right off the bat, you can just start a new account and then re-roll again. So it's very, very easy in that aspect. So it looks pretty cool. It's called Infinite Magic Raid. You can get that on the iOS there for free. But yeah, been playing a bunch of that pretty much every day. Either of you do any gacha gaming in any way, shape, or form?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to do it. I did they finally closed down global version of the Final Fantasy Record Keeper. I had stopped playing it probably a few months before the announcement.
Yeah.
It was just funny seeing all these people. Like I was almost a day one player, but a lot of these people that just you go on the Reddit and you just see the reminiscing, because they kept the Japanese servers open, but the global one went down, and they're like, why us? And it's like it run its course. For me, it was like sweet nostalgia trip for a while, and I never spent a dime on it, and I still had got a lot of the sweet ass weapons that people would pay money for, like hundreds of dollars, and just have shit luck that they just never got it. But that was a fun game for a while, but I stopped playing that. I was playing Saga Universe for a while. I don't know if you ever played Saga Frontier or Romancing Saga.
No, I haven't, no.
Old Super Nintendo, PlayStation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those were fun games, and that was another nostalgia trip going down memory lane. But I also checked out of that one.
Yep.
But now I'm into Pokemon Go again.
Oh, shit.
I downloaded Pokemon Go on my phone and my wife's phone to get my kids start walking more, getting more excited to go outside. And it's been working. They like going out there, My youngest loses his freaking mind when he sees a Pikachu in our front yard. So
I would too.
it was pretty fun.
I would too,
and
to be fair.
I remember playing when it first came out. Me and you actually, we
Yes.
were walking through Pittsfield. And that was like when
Heady
everybody
days.
was
the
doing
heady
it.
days of
That was
2016.
so crazy.
Pre-pandemic, pre-Trump, great summer. Great summer
Yeah, that was-
2016.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. Like
That was fun.
people
When-
look back on that. That's like one of those things where it's just like the world was united.
Yes.
You know,
I remember
Yes.
driving.
we were all playing Pokemon Go.
I remember driving to work, and I was driving through Westfield, and I saw a big group of people at a gazebo in the center of town, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What's over there? I'm parked. I'm gonna be late for work, but I gotta go see what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. You have to.
What's over there?"
It was Pokemon.
I
Snorlax.
knew it was
Well, I
Pokemon.
mean, we were like-
It was a Blastoise.
Oh, you did? Oh shit! All right, I'd be over there for Blastoise.
I would too.
Yeah, there's so actually just today I was coming home from work and I stopped at this track and I do a couple laps and I use my daily incense and I ran into a Zapdos and then about 3 minutes later I ran into a Moltres and
Nice.
I did not catch either one because apparently the catch rate for that is 0.3. Absolutely absurd. But to even see one is a low chance. But I saw two in like succession. I was like, well, damn, I'm already breaking the odds, so I'm gonna catch one of these bad boys.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Gotta get that Master Ball. Get that Master Ball to catch them easy.
And you can't get a mass ball. You get an ultra. Like you gotta do everything perfect. You gotta have an ultra ball. You gotta have a golden raspberry to keep the bird in place.
Of course.
You get one throw, and it's got to be an excellent throw. Also, a great throw would work if it's a curveball.
So what?
And even then, it's still only a 3%
You
chance.
should only
So-
ever be throwing curveballs. Come on.
Yeah, no, I do. I've learned how to do that. Before I was just like, why is this not working? You gotta start spinning the ball, drag it all the way to the left. I'm a right handy, and then I whip it up, and then it goes. And I can hit great shots all day long. Excellent. I've hit the excellent hole. I swear to God,
I'll hit
more
your
times than it
excellent
actually
hole.
tells me. Oh, thanks. Can't wait. But
All right.
yeah, so I get a lot of greats and I get more experience points that way. But I've caught so much stuff. Right now I got a ball in. I got a shiny Scyther.
Shit.
Oh shit!
I like to flex on people. I
Yeah.
put them in the gym all the time. They're like, oh shit, oh that's a Scyther, shiny. And I was like, you know it.
So
That's how I get my Pokecoins.
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
I
that's
see-
what I'm playing.
I see.
on my phone.
Yeah. Well, you got some other stuff on here. You got a Steam Deck. You sir got a Steam
Steam
Deck.
Deck.
How'd you
Tell
get
us,
this?
yeah,
tell us
dude.
about
Yeah,
the
you-
Steam Deck.
Yes.
Dude, it's fucking awesome. You're sitting here talking about the accessibility of a Switch.
Yeah.
And how convenient that is, dude. Steam Deck, like you can't. I mean, you could have, well, if you wanted to, yeah, you could have Nintendo emulation on there. You could have any emulation, really. I got it right now where I can stream all my PlayStation games onto my Steam Deck.
Is it essentially
Like,
a laptop
it'll-
built into a Steam Switch?
There's the desktop mode. Yeah, desktop mode. I can go in there. I can use it as a laptop if I felt like it. And then there's a gaming mode specifically for like just booting up games, checking out the store. You got your basically the Steam.
Yeah, basically just full screen
browser
Steam
that it would have.
And
Yep.
Have you seen what it looks like,
And,
Andy?
yeah, and then I can go to desktop and I can do all my hacker stuff there, like add programs, put non-Steam related. I got like Spotify and Discord all on my gaming mode side of Steam Deck.
Yep.
So I can do all that shit from there, just like so I don't have to boot up in desktop. Which I mean, no, it's a computer basically.
It is,
but
yes.
switching between can be a little slow, and you
Yeah.
gotta have a whole setup to it. I recently got a Steam Dock
Nice.
where I can put it on there, and then I can show it on the television, and I can do all my stuff there. Attach keyboard, mouse, all this stuff. Because if you didn't have that stuff, you'd have to use the touchpads on it, and then bring up the keyboard that's inside the computer, Steam Deck, and then do it that way. But instead, now I got like external keyboard, mouse, all this stuff set it up on my computer or my TV. It's sweet. But yeah,
Tell me
all
about-
these games that
yeah.
I just never played before, or it's just like I have and they're on my PlayStation 4 and I got to go downstairs in my basement and play it, or I got to fight with the kids to like I want to play Minecraft. It's like, no, I want to play my big boy game. And they're like, no, I want to play Minecraft. And I was like, no, it's my turn. I don't have to do that anymore. I can do it. I can just sit upstairs in bed, just playing like right now. I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah,
and it's awesome. Like, okay, I'm not a graphics snob. Like the frame rate does drop. It's not a constant 60 FPS. And I know, Damian, I can feel you like rolling your eyes right now.
Yeah.
But
60, blah.
It's still fun for me. Like it looks good. It looks not too much different than like a PlayStation 4 on a handheld, like what you would expect. Like, and I just got and getting a Steam library was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I have bought so many games since I got this.
Like $4.
They're all discounted.
$4
They're all discounted.
$20.
Okay, but
there's always sales all the time.
Yeah.
Oh man, when did you get it?
Exactly.
When did you get it?
Yeah, there's one right now.
When did you get your Steam Deck?
I got it like 2 months ago.
Oh, so
2 months ago.
So you missed the summer sale. You don't even know.
I missed the summer sale.
You don't even know.
But there's always a fall
right
sale.
Now, there's a Halloween sale going on right now.
Yeah, but
Spooky
the
dooky
summer
sale.
sale is what's up.
Yeah, they're all
there's
the same.
gonna be a Christmas sale too.
They're all basically the same numbers.
Too, right?
All the numbers are the same. They're always the same numbers. Summer sale is a big one. You're correct, but yes, every season there's spring, summer, fall, winter. There's always every quarter is a major sale. Yep.
All right. Well, then next year, the first games I got were Fallout was on sale. Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. I'm like, and they were like $5. I'm like, and it was like all the DLC that I hadn't actually finished. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. I can bring Fallout where I go now.
How much memory does that thing have?
That's cool.
Like,
but
can you just buy a bunch of shit and put it on there and not have to worry about your space? Your hard drive?
Yeah, right now, the one I got is like 512 gigabytes or something like that. And that's without like putting like an SD card in there or anything like what you can also do.
Right.
Like people got 1 terabyte cards going in there and all that crap.
512 gigabytes.
I mean, the memory card
is not a lot.
What's that?
512 gigabytes is not a lot. The PS4s at launch were 500 gigs.
Well, the thing is though, it's like I can have all those games in my library and I can have I can download the ones I want. Like I swap it out. Like it might actually be higher. I don't know. I feel like
that's something I could Google at a later date.
Either way, it's. I guess it's not a lot. It's a lot for me. I guess it's not for you.
Right.
I use my PS4. I have like a total of 4 games on there, and I'm constantly having to decide which one I want. Call of Duty takes up 200 gigabytes on my PS4. Like, look, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I all kinds of games on there. I've been playing. I don't know how to say it, but I'm gonna give it a shot. The Eiyuden Chronicles.
Oh yeah. So
the Suikoden the influence.
So you're playing the that's not the new. That's not this.
No, 100 Heroes. That's the one that's going to be coming out.
Right.
That's the Suikoden version of it.
Exactly.
But this one was something Rising, but that's a fun little game. It's like a little side scroller. It's a lot of fetch quests. I mean, it didn't get great reviews, but like graphically, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like I like that whole the 2D scrolling games where it's like the scenery in the background is just like souped up. It looks real good, and you just got like these little animations running across. And it's just a fun game. Like it's nothing special.
Valkyrie profile type of thing.
Yeah, like that. Yep. A lot cleaner though.
Wow.
But, I mean, it's really like
also about
AAA
30 years newer. So. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
What's up, Damian?
I got a ton of games that I'm going to be playing.
Pretty good. I'm good over here, man. I'm listening. I'm engaging. I'm actively listening.
Oh yeah.
I'm very intrigued.
Steam Decks
by
are fun.
Steam
You got to
Deck.
get one.
The portability of the Switch, like you said, has been amazing, and a Steam Deck sounds like it would only.
Dude, you would play so many games.
I think I would too, but then in order to do that, I would have to bring it with me to work, and these last 2 days, I would have had time to play games for like 4 hours, but most of the time it doesn't actually work out that way. And I would just end up carrying a Steam Deck around with me and not being able to play it.
Yeah, and the thing is too, it's like you're gonna want to carry it around with you too, because like then you remember you paid $650 for it.
Right. Right.
So it's just like that thing's not leaving my sight.
That doesn't mean much. I paid $500 for the PlayStation 5 and I haven't touched it since July.
Yeah, but it stays in your house though. Like if you bring a Steam Deck with you, it's like I need to know where this is at all times.
True.
Yes.
True. Yeah. Maybe I'll just buy one.
People could just like, oh, this is just sitting on the
My
table.
birthday's in a couple weeks.
Do it. Buy it.
If you guys wanted to go in on something for me.
I mean, it doesn't stop there though. I'll chip in. Yeah, I'll give you $20. But like I said, it don't stop there. I don't know what your Steam library looks like or if you even have one yet, but the 650, that's not where it stops, okay? Because it's like every week you're like, oh, $10?
Yeah.
All right, nailed it. Oh okay. I won't go over 20 this time.
My Steam library hasn't changed in like 8 years. I think the last thing I bought was like Civ 5, I think was the last thing I bought.
Wow. I think I saw a sale for that recently.
It's always on sale.
Steam
it's
sale.
always on sale. No, you probably saw a sale for Civ 6, actually.
Oh, maybe.
All right, great.
Yeah. But it's fun.
Welcoming you guys
I
to.
it.
Yep. Okay.
Particularly for you, Damian, not
Yep.
so much because he's got his whole master control center in the middle of his living room.
Yes. It is there. Yep.
Damian, you got a staircase going up to your bedroom.
Yes.
You should just eliminate the staircase. You should just have a way for like that whole center console to be raised up and down.
That would be
like it just brings you up to your bedroom or brings it back down to the living room.
Yes.
You're lowered in and just like
that would be amazing.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm glad for you guys. I'm welcoming you to the PC world, even if it's just like a Fisher Price, my first PC. That's great. I'm glad for you. I'm glad for you all. I am. I'm so happy for you. You can experience Steam sales for the first time. That's amazing.
I know. I feel like I'm like a newborn.
I experienced Steam sales in 2011 when I bought Skyrim, and I think I also bought one of the original Fallout 1 or 2 games that I never actually ended up playing. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you want to hear something?
Yep.
Speaking of Skyrim,
okay.
It was $10. I bought it.
Of course you did. Does your wife know about this?
She doesn't, and she never will.
All right. So we have a lot to get to. We're getting late here in the program. So what do you guys want to do? Oh, you want to go all night? Okay, we can go all night. Because I got another pod to do. I'm doing a part 2.
Broncos country.
Yeah, my heart out is in about 3 hours, so we're good there. Because I'm going to do part 2 with Derek right after this. So the preview for everyone listening, part 2 will be coming up. Derek's coming. Yep, Derek works until 10 p.m. PST, so he'll be on later tonight. We'll be doing part 2. That'll be coming out the same day. Or maybe I'll make it the same pod. Who knows? Who can tell? Nobody. That who? What? What are you going to say?
What's it? 10 PST? That's 1 a.m. for us, ain't it?
That's exactly what I just said. Yep. You're glad you're listening.
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out.
But that's roughly 11 a.m. for Dion. Damian. For Damian.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, what do you guys want to do? You want to do some House of the Dragon talk? Or do you want me to talk about Andor?
Andy hasn't watched House of the Dragon, has he?
No, but we can do the sort of same thing we did with the.
Also, probably won't. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just Dion, you watched House of the Dragon. It just finished up this Sunday, but you haven't watched. Yep, that's what I'm gonna say. You haven't watched the finale yet.
No.
So give me your overall thoughts on House of the Dragon season 1.
So far, I think it's been a fun show. I was really disheartened with the whole franchise. After Game of Thrones, obviously, like everybody was in the world. So I went into this with 0 expectations. I did not read the books at all because I made it a point. I get on my soapbox here. I put my foot down and I was like, listen, I'm not doing this until you finish the series that that brought me to you. And he's just kind of like, haha, fuck you. I'm never going to do that. So I was like, well, I'm never going to read your Fire and Blood books. And then, obviously the preview starts showing and my wife sees it and she's like, should we? And I was like, should we? I'll do it if you do it, whatever. And it's actually been it's been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine, it's good, and I think it's saving me that I didn't read any books in it too, so I can't be like that guy that I was with Game of Thrones. Like, like nope, I don't like it. Why is he going in this direction?
Right.
Doesn't make sense. I don't have to be that person. I can watch it with like open eyes and kind of appreciate what I see, and I like it.
Like it overall, you enjoyed it. Enjoying your time there in Westeros.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a good story. Like, the characters they're mostly interesting. Like Daemon, Viserys. I really like the Viserys. Daemon's acting too. Like,
yeah.
I like the Valarians. They're neat guys.
Yep.
Also, I can't even say all their names because they all sound so freaking alike.
You do.
Rhaenyra. No.
Rhaenys?
The Valerian.
Rhaenys.
I like her. She's cool.
Yes.
She's kind of like I noticed there's a lot of parallels to the characters that had like Game of Thrones. Like, she kind of strikes me as like a Marjorie Tyrell,
yes.
like Queen of Thorns kind of person. Yep. Viserys was was the Robert. Then you got Hightower, who's kind of like the Hand of the King, like Tywin, that kind of guy. Even like Marjorie and what's her name, the Queen, Viserys' wife. Basically, what I'm getting at is all these parallels. Yep. Like, these characters aren't so different than what we watched in Game of Thrones, and that was a good recipe in the beginning. Like, that worked, and I mean, they're basically doing it again. So yeah, obviously it's gonna be a good show. Don't really have to do too much. It's got good bones.
Yeah, dragon bones, you could say.
Good dragon bones.
Yes. I really did enjoy it. Great last episode. Second to last episode you saw the final episode with Viserys walking up to his throne, right? Yeah, that was a lot of people.
Oh, that was a badass.
That was a lot
with the gold mask.
That was a lot of people's. Yes, that was a lot of people's favorite episode.
Yeah.
Incredible performance by Paddy Considine as King Viserys the First. Him just walking up there very slowly, dropping his crown, having Daemon finally show respect to him and help him up there, and the whole moment with.
Picks up the crown, puts it on his head.
Yes.
Like, here, King, you dropped this.
Yes, exactly. You had, but then that moment where you had like Vaemon, what was his name? Vaemon, right? Vaemon Valerian, the brother of Rhaenys' husband.
I think it's just Daemon, isn't it?
Vaemon, no, it's the Valerian guy. He comes up and he says, those kids are bastards and she's a whore. And then yeah, right. Chunk.
It was a clean cut, but it was like diagonal too. So like you saw like some of the tongue like sticking out. Like, I'll have his tongue. He's like, nah, I got it for you.
No, he was like, take his tongue, and he was like, no, he can keep his tongue. He's gonna lose his head. Yeah. But
that's what he said. He can keep his tongue.
Yes,
and it was just like kind of like hanging right there, like through the throat hole. Just wild.
Yes, go ahead,
man. Like, it's crazy how much they can get away, like how many people they can kill in plain sight in the middle of a great hall.
Well, yeah,
and nobody bats an eye.
Yeah,
no consequence.
No. Well, you can't say that. You're being seditious there. You're saying you can't be saying that stuff about her kids and herself.
Well, I mean, even remember when they got married, the wedding nuptial stuff, and like that dude just got the shit pummeled out of him. Just like face was turned into mush.
Yeah.
Like that happened in the same freaking hall with all these witnesses.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just that, like, okay, maybe the dude shouldn't have been calling the kids bastards, but it doesn't take much to get ganked. And there was another one where the Baratheon kid, he stabbed that one that was mouthing off to him. And it's just like, everybody dies in this room.
Yes, they do. A lot of death in that room.
They got to film in a different room.
Were you pissed that, speaking of Rhaenys, were you pissed that she didn't torch the Hightowers and torch Alicent when she had the chance?
Oh, man. Listen, it just, like, those moments where it's like you look back and it's like, if I had just done this, obviously there would have been no story. Like,
right.
That was it. That was that moment where it's just like, well, she's flying away. I mean, because, like I said, I haven't watched or read the books or anything like that, but enough of the lore from Game of Thrones to know what's happening. There's going to be like civil war and everything.
Right.
So she's leaving to join up with other allies that are going to fight this army. Like, if she had that knowledge, why didn't she just cook them?
Right.
You know? But I don't know. It was a display of power, and it was like honor, and it's just like, all right, you fucked up now. Like, I grant you this, but next time you ain't gonna be so lucky.
Yeah.
I get it, but
Right.
it's just like, fucking cook them. I would have cooked all of them. I don't care.
Yes. Great season finale. Great season overall. I think I was talking about this with the Stormlight Archive. We're saying it's kind of not fair to compare it to other series that are, in the same vein, same fantasy realm, but written better, like Game of Thrones was. But yeah, if everyone's comparing this to Game of Thrones, does this sit anywhere in your favorite Game of Thrones seasons overall, or is it too early to tell?
Yeah, I would put it in there. I mean, I couldn't tell you where exactly, but I would feel that it was in the top half.
Yeah. With like season 2.
I was pleasantly entertained. I thought that the relationships between the characters, the banter. I mean, some stuff was a little ridiculous, but it definitely didn't get as ridiculous as the later seasons of Game of Thrones, and even a couple of the middle ones too. But I think I would hold the first like 2 seasons of Game of Thrones above it.
Right.
And I'm weird, but I would take like season, what was it, 6? Just because there were like some episodes where I'm like, that was awesome. Whatever one had like Jaime and Bronn fighting the Dothraki army, and like there were moments in those shows where I was just like, oh man, like, oh yeah, the mountain in Oberon,
Yes.
like that season was like one of the top ones for me. And I know a lot of people look back on that one like, but I would say so like maybe the first 2 seasons, that season, and then this one right here.
Yeah. It's got some of the stuff of like the dialogue and the lines that I remember from Game of Thrones. Like, anybody else in here got anything else to say? I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna eat all these chickens. Those lines from the mountain.
Yeah. Fuck salami.
You can wear it with honor, or honor you again. The slapping, Bobby B slapping Cersei. There are some lines in here in this show that were pretty good. He can keep his tongue, like we said. But overall, I feel like
these boys are very strong. It's like, oh, you cheeky bastard.
He's awesome. I love that guy. I love what's his name? Amond or Amond? Amond?
Amon.
Yes.
Amon.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is named Amon.
Yeah.
Amon.
He gets a moment.
And he's got enough chin for everybody.
Fucking chin and the smile and the smirk.
Dude,
perfectly cast.
I love the looks that Damon gives him too.
Yeah.
Like, it's like this begrudging like respect where it's just like, I like you.
Yeah.
And the other one's like, I obviously model myself after
Yes.
you. But like, we can't just be like openly like there's just a mutual respect, and it's a fun dynamic they have. It's the relationship stuff that's a lot of what Game of Thrones is based, or strengths are, and stuff like that. Like they literally have not said one word to each other, but it's the looks and their mannerisms and the presence when they're around each other, where that goes to like the storytelling and just the fact that they don't have to say anything to be to have that relationship.
Cool. You see a lot of stuff in the eye movement and the facial recognition. The eyes of, like you said, Daemon and Alicent has some eyes, but especially Emma Darcy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
eyes.
Emma Darcy with her eyes as the older Rhaenyra. Older Rhaenyra. Emma Darcy playing older Rhaenyra has some incredible eye movements and eye movements, facial movements in the show, especially at the end, especially in the last episode. Pretty incredible stuff. Yep. Yep.
How do you feel about like just the openly rampant incest?
I mean, it's very reminiscent of our world. I think there's incest in places of high society and high royalty. So that's very accurate, I guess. I mean, it's happening in our world too.
Pornhub.
It's happening, yes, in Pornhub. Yep, exactly. so it happens in our world too. And so it's like, well, is it realistic? Is it, would it actually happen? Would people not actually say anything? Well, yeah, it's happening right now. So of course they wouldn't.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like back then, like that wasn't even frowned upon. Or I mean, I'm saying in the Game of Thrones world, like that's just how it is. It's like, okay, your brother and sister, you guys are going to be married.
Aunt
so
and
cool.
niece, yep.
Like
uncle,
it wasn't even thought about, but it's just weird. It's just like you have that one scene where, Rhaenyra is giving chase to Damian and like, no, he was giving her the tour of the town, and they end up going through the whorehouse, and it's like he's got her pinned against the wall and pulling out her pants, and it's like, that's your niece, dude. The world knows it. We know it.
yes.
But it's not taboo in that world, and it's like it's kind of like mental gymnastics you got to do with yourself. It's like, all right, I guess I'll just try to put this aside. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like when it was just Jaime and Cersei going at it, that was one thing.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, all the brothers are fucking all the sisters. All the uncles are fucking all the nieces. And it's like, it's everywhere. Yeah. What do I do?
Yep, exactly. All right, let's move on. Andy, still there, bud? Alive and well? Yo. Do you think you'll dip your toe in the Game of Thrones world? Anytime in the near future?
Probably not, honestly. I think we're...
No, was it the incest talk? Come on.
Nah, we're just a little too late to the party. A little, like...
No way, you can't be late to the party. Like, you got the House of the Dragon. This is a fine point to jump in.
Yeah.
To start with?
You could just, Yes.
Yeah. This actually is a prequel.
Yes.
This happens like...
200 years.
Like 400 years
200
before.
Years. Yep.
That sounds irrelevant.
It's not, actually. It shapes the whole Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, what do you mean irrelevant?
Shit.
What does that mean? Irrelevant?
I'll tell you what's irrelevant. White Walkers.
Yes.
Spoiler.
For this show, yeah. Yes. Andy, what you been listening to? Let me ask you this first before you talk about what you've been listening to. When I dropped my stuff in here and Dion dropped his stuff in here, did you go, oh, let me listen to some of this stuff because it's not up your alley at all. But did you give me the respect? Did you give me some of the acknowledgement? Did you try some other things that you wouldn't like just to appease me?
I have not.
Good. I'm glad. I'm fine. It's fine.
I'm perusing these things now. I'm perusing these things now and thinking that I will check out some of them, but it won't be Taylor Swift or Carly Rae Jepsen.
Carly Rae Jepsen, yeah.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How fucking dare
I'll check out some
you.
of these other things that I don't recognize, like snail mail. That could be interesting. Arctic monkeys. Sounds like something I probably should have heard of by now, but
try.
You definitely heard Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah,
before.
no.
You want me to hum you a few bars? Oh, you know what I'm talking about,
Sing
right?
it.
Yeah. Hey, I just met you.
This is crazy.
This is crazy.
Seriously, is that her?
But here's my number.
That's not.
So
that
call
is
me,
not
baby.
Carly Rae.
Yeah,
no
dude,
way.
that's her.
Is it really?
That's her.
So let
yeah,
me
you
get
love
this
that
straight.
song, don't
Let me
you?
get this straight.
I love it. I knew it.
Love it. I know it though.
It's also on a commercial now. Like, it's hilarious. Because I listened to this new album, and it's fine. But nothing beats like the Call Me Maybe in my heart. Like that was a crazy time for me in my life. And now I'm seeing this commercial with like this black security guard. He's just like going off, like, he's walking down the stairs, and it's just like, I don't know. I think it's a security guard. I think it's just. Anyways, the point is, it's just like starts in subtle, and then he's just like full out rocking to it, and I'm like, I'm you right now. Yeah, I'm digging this vibe.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen that commercial.
You're probably right.
It was all Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football. If you were watching it, it was there.
I actually didn't watch Thursday Night Football this week. We were out at a haunt.
Okay.
We were out at the Lake Hickory haunt is what we did for our anniversary dates. We went out and they did it takes like 40 minutes to walk through this. It's not really a haunted house because it's all outside, but they take you through these different sections of a haunt. And they do like a circus haunt with clowns and people jumping out at you, and they do a lagoon.
Jump scares.
A lot of jump scares. Yeah, but real life jump scares are way more interesting than movie jump scares.
Yes.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Can't believe you brought your wife to an anniversary with jump scares. Or is it your ex-wife?
Touche. Anyway, yeah. So I've been listening to some shit too.
Tell me.
It's not Taylor Swift or Carly Rae Jepsen, but there is this one particular band that I've been obsessed with lately called Necrogoblicon, and I think I linked it to you guys a while, probably once or twice, maybe 3 times or 4 times.
You have, yep. I've
at
seen
least
it.
five. At least 5 times.
Yes.
But they're super fucking catchy choruses and riffs, and it's so heavy but funny too. It's so good. And they got a gimmick where the band is not goblins, but they have like almost like their manager is this goblin that travels around with them, and they have a guy that comes up on stage in a goblin costume, and it's hilarious. And I look forward to seeing them sometime.
Okay.
Awesome. I wasn't feeling the vibe. You sent me the link to it, and it was a rare miss.
Is that right?
Miss, I will say. There was something about it that didn't like. Yeah, there was something about it that I couldn't like sync my. Maybe I just didn't listen to enough of it, but yeah.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe hit me with another good song sometime. We'll
I'll
test
try
it
again.
Yes.
I'll try again.
Good try. Yeah.
What did you think about the new Slipknot? I really want to know. I don't think I've asked you since I listened to it.
Yeah, I only got through it once, and I don't know if it's one of those things where you gotta listen to it a couple times before you really get into it. But I did not get into it. It was pretty mediocre. Like maybe
Like did you feel what I was saying? Like they got Stone Sour in the Slipknot, you know?
I get that. I feel like
but it wasn't even like Stone Sour either. It was like a different sound to Stone Sour. It was like a country.
Well, I remember thinking that when Slipknot did Volume 3, I think, too, where they were just doing a lot of melodic singing to slow, like gloomy music. And I remember thinking that, and eventually all that grew on me. I enjoy all that now. But this particular album, I don't know. I just couldn't get it. You know what? I think a big part of it was in the past, Slipknot's lyrics were always really abstract. Not a lot of concrete ideas lyrically going on. This one, there's pretty clearly like some ideological stuff going on. And it's not necessarily things I don't agree with. They're talking about like the mob mentality of the internet. Like, sure, I agree with what you're kind of saying, but that's fucking boring as hell to sing about because you're Slipknot. You sing about cutting throats and fucking them.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? And then you remember that the singer is almost 50 and probably is bored with that content.
He's got views now.
His kid is singing in a band.
He's got a platform and a voice. Yeah. You sent me the link to that, and I was like, this is more Slipknot than what I just listened to. And then when you told me it was his kid, I was like, well, that explains a lot. He feels the same way we do.
Yep. But yeah.
All right, good to know. I had a feeling you were going to say that, and it feels good to know that you kind of agree with me. It was one of those ones I was like, I don't think I can go back to that album. I don't even think there was a song that really stood out that I was just like,
there really wasn't.
I would put this in a playlist and listen to that.
No, there really wasn't. Yeah. Yep.
Sorry to hear you're disappointed by the new Slipknot. It sounds awful.
We're just old curmudgeons. That's all it is. That's all this is.
Well, you've been that. I mean,
I had that thought. I'm like, did Slipknot just pass me by? You know, am I that guy now?
I actually see a lot of young people wearing Slipknot hoodies.
Really?
I do. Yeah.
I've never seen anyone wearing any Slipknot attire since like high
No.
So
school.
was that at the concert you went to? Is that possible?
It
You went
was
to a
not.
hard rock
No,
to
I
a
see,
metal
like- I see,
festival,
like-
and you're like, what is going
Well,
on with all the Slipknot hoodies?
I pick up my daughter at kindergarten these days, and I see like middle schoolers wearing Slipknot gear. So I mean, yeah, that's at the
All right.
public schools in
I'll
North
take it.
Carolina. For whatever that
Very
means.
cool.
I can Slipknot.
Yes, I'm not sure what that means.
Me neither.
So that's unfortunate.
means the kids here
so
in North
let's go
Carolina
back
are
to
dope as fuck.
Right. So the beginning conversation we had was about Damian's, myself, my evolution as a person, right?
Yeah.
So when you first met me, we were rocking out to you liked the grunge and I liked the new metal, right?
Garbage
where we
fanatic.
started. Fifth.
You like techno metal. What would that
I
be
like
called? I
techno
remember
metal?
like Cell Dweller and
Oh my God,
nah,
no!
that was
See,
Alex.
you were doing that
That's
thing again.
Alex.
You were like, that was Alex. That was Alex.
No. With the fire starter. You're the fire starter. What was that? What was that?
The
Or
yes.
smack my
That's
bitch
Prodigy.
up. That kind of shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
What, Damian, you
I
were
don't-
into
I
that?
don't-
That had like that.
Yes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there it
okay. What
is.
are they called? What's
All-time
that?
favorite. The Prodigy.
Okay.
All right.
Prodigy genre. I'm not even sure what you call them. Let me see. Prodigy genre.
Techno dance.
Or industrial?
Industrial, yeah.
Industrial?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Wikipedia just has them as a
Right. Yeah.
EDM band. I mean, it's electronic punk. There we go. Electronic punk. That's what they describe.
Okay.
Yes, that's what they describe theirs as, and I would as well. Very interesting podcast I heard about them sort of creating that sound that they had in the guitar, and it was like from a what was the band? The Cannonball people, the Breeders. The Breeders had a song in one of their albums. The Breeders are an offshoot of the Pixies. You guys are aware of the Pixies, yes? Where is my mind? So.
Where's my mind?
Exactly. Yep. So their bassist Kim Deal created a separate band called the Breeders, and I guess there was a riff or a sound that they made on one of their albums where he took that and sampled it, and you can hear that in Firestarter, I believe. So that was interesting. But yeah, so going back to what I was saying, me as a person, 15, 16, 17, early 20s, I was the grunge guy, right? And you guys liked the new metal, and I was like, yeah, I like that stuff. Linkin Park, not new metal, but we sort of bonded over that stuff, and that's where I was at that point, right? So
Linkin Park was definitively new metal
Oh yeah.
in a good way.
You just don't want to admit it.
I mean,
the
yes, but
best
also
way.
a lot of other things. New metal. Is Linkin Park new metal? Let's see what the
Their first album absolutely was.
Yeah.
Maybe it changed with Meteora.
I would still
Yeah.
call Meteora,
Well,
but I
no.
would say
No.
the
No,
album
no,
after
no, no, no.
Meteora, maybe not so much.
what was it? Minutes.
Animation,
No.
where they
No,
just-
hold on. Minutes to Midnight. They definitely changed their sound a lot there. That's where that switch
for
happened.
sure.
Yep.
But that was after Meteora too.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't switch with Meteora. They changed their sound with Minutes to Midnight after Meteora and after Reanimation. That's when they did the quieter stuff. Yep. But anyways, that's where I
Go
was
on with your
early
point.
2000. My point, yep. Like you said at the beginning, like we agree. I've evolved as a person, as a human being in the world, for different things. For who I was a cyclist, and now a podcaster, and now, right, the thing that I'm jamming to, the thing that I like to put into my ears, is some T Swift. I want to talk to Dion about his thoughts about her new album in a second here. But yeah, our Arctic Monkeys, like you said, I think I texted you maybe a few months ago about Arctic Monkeys. They had a new album out, and you were like, "Never heard of these people?" And I was like, "That's a war crime. That's a thing you shouldn't say to somebody because they're one of the biggest what do you call it? Not indie bands, but like alt rock bands of the past 15 years. First 3 albums, again talking about like evolution of sound. Their sound has evolved a lot since 2006. So I wouldn't recommend their new stuff to you at all. But their first few albums very much in that sort of in that genre of like the Hive. Remember the Hives? Remember the that era of every band calling themselves the Strokes, the Hives, the whatever. Remember that?
Yep.
So they were very much in that vein of rock music back then. They've changed their sound a lot, but just for those listening that don't have Cage the Elephant. Yep, exactly.
They had a
technical. Yep, that was a technical inclusion there, but you were correct. I'll allow it. But yeah, so I was into that. But I was always on the edges of like listening to stuff, the slower stuff, because Kurt Cobain of Nirvana listened to a lot of different stuff. So when I listen to stuff like that, I'm always like, who inspired them? And then I would dig into those people's catalogs and always dig into like the Pixies and other alternative bands that they were into that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to you guys either. So that was always sort of there in the background that I was listening to when we weren't listening to the new metal stuff. So this stuff on here that you're seeing, like Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, Sharon Van Etten, Snail Mail. Yeah, it wasn't like just a hard right turn the past couple of years. That's always stuff I've been interested in. So that's where I'm at right now. Basically, get home, take a shower, put on Phoebe Bridgers in the shower, and sort of cry in the corner, listening to her emo stuff. So Dion, I asked Andy if he perused any of the stuff I put in the doc, but did you peruse any of this stuff at all?
I did, yeah. I mean, I am familiar with Phoebe Bridgers. I like her. I did listen to the new Arctic Monkeys album for a bit. I think I got to about song 4, and then I tapped out. It's that. I mean, you just said you wouldn't recommend it to us, but a lot of the music that you have listed here is music that I would have in the background. That I'm not. Not to say that lyrically they aren't good, but it's just their music just feels like that type of thing where it's just like a vibe, like a mood. Like I'm just chilling. It's an ambiance, and I'm here for it. I'm doing something else, but I'm just vibing. So I like that music for that particular purpose, but it's nothing that I don't think I would. I don't
actively listen to it
and find.
You don't actively engage. You don't put it down and be like, this is the only thing I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Not to like to be rude about it, but I'd find a playlist. I'd be like, oh, Phoebe Bridgers radio, and then I'd like listen to that stuff. But like if her song came on over another one, it's not like I would be able to tell really. But also like I wouldn't. That wouldn't be what my goal was. Like it's just like I said, like it's just an ambiance.
Sure. So for
that need. It fits that perfectly.
So let me use what you just said to pivot to Taylor Swift's new album, Midnight. You said they're lyrically not great. I think Phoebe Bridgers and pretty much everybody here is a country mile ahead on Taylor Swift in terms of lyrically, in terms of their lyric writing. I think Phoebe Bridgers is probably the most interestingly lyrical artist out there right now. So let's talk about Taylor Swift. New album, Midnight. Dropped big time. One of the biggest streamed albums of all time on Spotify. What'd you think of her 10th studio album?
Nope. And I think this is the point where I tap out. This is the point where I say, no longer does she make the music that I go to Taylor Swift for. That's fine that she wants to make a new sound. I'm mature enough to handle that. I like her old shit. I listen to her old shit. But this is it for me. I just was not feeling any of it.
Yeah, no, it's...
Which I would say this album is better than the last one that she puts out, but still, it's so far away from anything that I even identify with. I guess even as a T Swiftie, that's what I like to call myself.
This one and like Folklore, she's doing that thing that Mike told Walter not to do in Breaking Bad. No half measures, Walter. No half measures. Like she wants to do folk music, but also bring in some of that pop stuff. And it's like, no, do one or the other. Pick one. Pick a lane, bitch. Do folk. If you're gonna do folk, do folk. If you're gonna do pop, do pop. It's like I can jam. I can jive with an artist that wants to experiment and bring in different genres and bring in different sounds and mixed up stuff like that sometimes. But if you're calling your album Folklore, I want folklore. Give me folk. Give me some fucking Bob Dylan shit. She was like, I don't think I heard on this album and also the Folklore one, I didn't hear anything like any straight guitar, any straight acoustic guitar. I think she should have stuck with just completely organic, just her and her voice and a guitar, or maybe a simple drum in the background. Like none of this felt organic to me at all. Did you hear anything on this album that was like, oh, that clearly was just her and a guy and maybe a bassist in the studio?
No, I didn't. And the thing, I feel like I heard her say something too, where like, I mean, it might have been one of the commercials, because I was watching Thursday Night Football, and it was running late, and she was saying how she was going to drop this album. It was a commercial for it, and they did like a little blurb on the inside where she was just like, she was really feeling like the production side of it, like making like mini movies. Honestly, the music that she made, it almost felt like an accessory to what she really wanted to do, was like these little music video type things to the music. Like, I don't know, it really felt kind of lifeless to me. You know?
Yeah, she's getting into acting. She wants to do more of that. She's in a new David O. Russell movie called Amsterdam, I think. Yeah, she's doing a lot of acting stuff recently, so she definitely wants to pivot to that. So that's probably why she's including all of this like mixed media, multimedia stuff with her album, like you said, with the music video and all that. So that's probably where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Did want to mention that she's for the past few albums she's been working with a producer named Jack Antonoff and his band Bleachers. He came from Fun Period. He did that song While We're We Young. Yeah, they did that song. He was part of that band. And then his separate band, his solo project Bleacher, is one of my favorite albums of the past like 10 years. That's one of those I would definitely check out if you want to get figure out where I'm at with my music taste these days. Yep. So yeah.
And I don't know if you're gonna go there, but I listened to Carly Rae.
I was about to pivot there,
and I enjoyed that one more than I did Taylor Swift.
It's all these
and
bops.
For the first few songs, I was like, you know what?
Taylor had no bops. Carly brought the bops. I was like, thank you, Carly.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I wanted the bops, and she came with the bops, and she kind of tapered off towards the end of the album. She brought it back with a couple songs at the end of it, but like for the most part, I'd give it a passing grade. It was fun, and actually, I thought that was a step up from what she had done previously. Not Call Me Maybe, because that's peak.
Yeah.
But
and also
this was like a good step of like, you know, kind of getting out of that shadow of that song, like creating a different identity for what she is. And, you know, like I said, it was more what I was looking for. More poppy, more boppy. Yes. She had some lines in there that I wanted to write down because I knew I'd forget, but I was just like, well, that's nice. I'm going to use that. But then there are other ones that like were total misses. And it's just like, all right, I don't know. You were reaching there, but hey, A for effort, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I like that album a lot. So I want to get to our top 5 Destinies here in a little bit. I'm going to take a piss real quick. We'll take a break. Everybody else can take a break as well. So we'll be back in a minute. Bye-bye. Be right back.
I wanted to talk about bluegrass.
Oh, trash grass.
Dude,
let's talk about trash grass.
Black grass. Oh, man. I went down a rabbit hole.
I did too. Yeah. Well, mostly from the shit that you sent me, and then it's just like, I see one thing, it's like, oh, this is called trash grass. All right, that's interesting. And then they got so many genres where it was just like, this is a thing? Like, how do you combine these? I don't know. Hold on, I'm going to Spotify it right now and just figure it out. Go ahead, you talk while I figure out all the genres I was trying to remember.
My particular favorite, one of my favorites, is a band called Tejon Street Corner Thieves. They've got...
that actually just popped up. That was the first one that popped up on us.
Right?
Oh, okay. Trash Crash.
Yep.
Trash Crash.
So good. It
sounds like
it's just
bad
all
weed.
like it's all like songs that you can sing along to in a bar. If everybody's fucking just singing along and sloshing their beers around, it just gets me, man. Everything, every track is just like something I would.
There was a, what was it? One of the playlists is called Trash Grass and other debauchery. Like that's
Nice.
exactly what I would. Yeah, like your bar life.
Exactly.
Yes.
Debauchery.
There's another
stuff.
band.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
there's another band that I've been listening to a lot lately. Bridge City Sinners. They're more of like a rag.
Did I just say that one too? That just
Nice.
popped up right here.
They're more of like a rag swing.
Folk punk.
Yeah, I guess folk punk, sure. Like a ragtime kind of swing band, but like satanic lyrics. It's hilarious and awesome.
Yeah, like some of the other genres I was talking about. Murder folk.
Murder
Yeah.
folk. Appalachian murder folk is a whole fucking thing. Like you could just
Yes.
all of these old school, old timey bluegrass bands that would traditionally sing about, Jesus and all that shit. They've also got songs about murdering your neighbor.
Yep. We're talking Old Testaments here.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was really taken back by like all those genres. I was like, holy shit, this is a thing. This is a thing. And I'm like, people come up with anything. I remember seeing something like on Spotify. It was a playlist. It was called genreless or something like that. I'm like, how the hell could anything be genreless? Like I can't comprehend what that actually means. Like it has to take influence from something. How can you make something that has no influence of anything ever? And if it took influence from something, wouldn't that make it part of that genre?
I think it just means like hard to define. Right.
There's another one. There's another
There's
band.
any-
I think
When you say, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying.
I was trying to hear what
Damian, go
Damian was
ahead.
saying.
When they say genre list, they just mean like hard to define the genre itself. They're so eclectic in their influences that it's just easier just to say genre list rather than trying to find a specific box to put them in.
Huh. Okay.
Okay.
Why don't they call it like genre blend?
Okay.
Well, because that would make, I feel like that would like kind of strike
Right.
to the core of what they're doing. Like if we're taking all the influences, then we're blending them. But if I'm not taking any influence, it would be like non-existent.
Well, it's like getting an
therefore less.
everything bagel, as opposed to calling an everything bagel. You wouldn't call an everything bagel a garlic and a raisin. You wouldn't call it a garlic raisin.
Sesame Street. Here's the Sesame Street. Sesame
Seed. Yeah, you just call it everything bagel. So that's why it's okay. Maybe genre full. Is that what you're looking for? Instead of genre less, call it genre full.
Yeah, genre full.
Okay,
I'll take genre full.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad we figured that one out. What were you gonna say, Andy?
I was just gonna say one of the other bands that I keep going back to, and I'm sure I've linked to you guys a few times, is Amigo the Devil. Amigo the Devil. Yeah, it's a dark folk songs, but they're just super catchy and just got such a powerful voice. Yeah. Yep.
I listened to him while I was working out one time, and Carrie comes downstairs and she's like, "What are you?
This music is so sad."
Like,
doesn't seem like great workout music.
oh, it's motivating. I don't know if it's like the plotting, how would you describe it? I don't know. It's just like it's exactly what you would want for these reps. Like, okay, I could listen to something say, "Oh, pound this bitch out," like but then you got this other one that's like when he's singing slow and everything, you can time your reps. Like you breathe out, and then it's just like when like he picks up, it's like, "Oh, kill the man," and you're like doing that last rep. You're like, you're like totally feeding into it. Like, yeah, like if I drop this weight on me, I kill me. Like, I don't know. It's just you really get in the right headspace.
Gets the people going.
Yeah,
It's provocative. Exactly. And we're back, and we're here talking about Andor, your mother, Andor my balls, Andor these nuts, right?
Giggity.
Am I right, guys?
Andor these.
Giggity, Andor these nuts. So yeah, Andor. Yes, go ahead.
I haven't watched any of it.
You
That's
haven't
all I was
watched any
gonna
of
say.
it. Andrew hasn't watched any of it. That's fine. That's no problem.
Have not.
You guys got
Did you call me
busy
Andrew?
lives. You're busy people. Yes. Yep. Andrew.
Okay. I
That's
thought
how you
we
know
were
he's
friends.
disappointed in you.
Yeah. Andor.
I only get call Andrew when I'm in trouble.
So I don't want to be hyperbolic about this, but this is the best Star Wars thing that's ever been made ever in the history of the thing.
I think that
have
was
you guys
the
heard anything about
definition of hyperbole, actually.
this? I believe that's what the joke was. So
I believe
Thank
that's
you
what my
for
joke
this.
was.
everyone knows that the best
You're not
part,
crossing any lines saying this. Do other people agree with you?
Do other people agree with me? Yeah, the internet, all of the internet.
That's
Yeah,
I have
do I need to
also
set this
heard
up? Do you guys know anything about this? Where it takes place in the Star Wars canon in the universe?
The only thing I know
chronologically?
is my friend Ernie told me that I should watch Rogue Squadron before I watch this.
Rogue One is the movie he was
That's the
referring to
one.
there.
Rogue Squadron is
That's-
a 1960
Rogue
is a
Squadron
Nintendo
is a
64
game.
video game from like 1997.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes. So
You're dating yourself.
I've dated myself with several
Dusty
things I
old
said
fart.
today,
right.
including talking about
Yeah,
middle
when you
schoolers
ask,
wearing
do you know where it took place?
what?
Nothing.
Anyways, yeah. So Andor.
Moving on.
Yes,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Damon.
one more time. Andor is a show that takes place before Rogue One. Rogue One was a film that took place before Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. So is that clear for everyone here? Everyone knows what we're talking about?
Yes.
After Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, after little Annie becomes Darth Vader, but before A New Hope, before Luke Skywalker, before Obi-Wan meets up with him, before all of that. So it's sandwiched right in.
Before Jar Jar Binks becomes the most powerful Sith Lord.
Exactly. So, yep.
Yeah.
Rogue One, in my mind, a lot of people's mind, again, I'm not saying anything too controversial here. Most people seem to enjoy and seem to think Rogue One was one of the best Star Wars movies made in a very long time, especially, I think this came out right after Rise of Skywalker or maybe right before. But the sequel trilogy was, I don't know, I wouldn't say universally, but a large contingent of the Star Wars fandom thought that Rise of Skywalker was not great. Rey making Rey, Palpatine, making them kiss at the end, making Rey and Kylo Ren kiss at the end wasn't great. So there was just a lot of negativity around that stuff.
Run it
Yeah.
back.
So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even that an outsider looking in, like I'm definitely not, Star Wars fanatic or anything, but even I looking at those movies was kind of like, okay.
Yeah. So
That's not. But would you say watching Andor, where do I need? I mean, I'm familiar with the whole story.
Yeah.
Do I need prior knowledge going in? Does this work as a standalone?
Yeah, so no,
TV show?
you don't, and that's one of the biggest strengths of the show is that you can go into this and not know anything and not know about the movies or see the TV shows or even be knowledgeable about the movies themselves, the entire chronological order of everything. You can go into this completely blind. I think, I don't know, maybe as a Star Wars person, the little nods and little references made in the show maybe don't knock me off balance as much as it would somebody else who isn't as knowledgeable. Maybe there's things in the show that I just know contextually what they are. Maybe that just makes sense to me. So maybe somebody coming in completely blind would be more negatively affected than me. But I don't know. I really don't think so. I think that's one of the strengths of the show is that it's not connected to the events of the movies strongly at all. But so yeah, just overall, not even as a Star Wars show, not even as a Disney Plus show, just as a show in and of itself, this would probably be on my top 10 list at the end of the year of just great shows overall of the year. Everything from the acting, the performances, the writing is so incredibly strong because it was written by an actual, really well-known, very, very good Hollywood screenwriter, Tony Gilroy. He wrote the Bourne movies. He wrote Michael Caine, one of the best movies of the 2000s, probably the last 20 years. He came in and did a lot of rework, a lot of rewriting of Rogue One. So that's probably why a lot of that stuff works. So yeah, the writing's incredible. The cinematography is stellar. Like watching this on 4K TV, looks incredible. It sounds incredible. The score was done by Nicholas Britell, who did the score for Succession, which I think Dion likes. I think you said you liked it. I think it disturbs you.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it disturbs you. The sounds, the notes he uses in there are quite disturbing, but haunting. Exactly. Yep. He does this thing where he has like a vaporwave. I don't know if you guys are familiar with vaporwave. It's sort of like the intro to Doc's Stream, where it's like that boom, 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 boom. That sort of like vapory, like synth wave sort of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Has that? Yeah. Blade Runner. If you just think of Blade Runner, think of that dark noir, rainy, synthy score in the background. This is exactly what it does, but it does it like in a modern twist. Just everything is incredible. It's the best performances I've seen out of people. Let me pull up the actors. Diego Luna plays Cassian Andor. Incredible performance by him. Has really great supporting cast as well. We have Stellan Skarsgård. He was the professor in Go to Hunting long time ago. Thor. Yeah, he's been in the Thor movies, but he's much more subdued here. Does a really good job here. He's in this. Trying to see other names you guys might recognize. Don't know. Fiona Shaw plays Marva, his mother. You might know her by her face. Seen anything she was in. She's been in some of the Harry Potter stuff. She was Petunia in the Harry Potter stuff. She was in Killing Eve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very good in this. Yeah, just overall, just incredible writing, performances. The action's really good, and it does also a really good job of like, how in Star Wars it's always like the big threats were the Sith. The big threats were the Jedis coming together, and if you saw like Darth Vader, that was always the big threat. And here they really ground it in like making the threats like just two or three. What are they called? The little ship guys, the Sith ships, or the ones they fly around in. TIE fighters. You see like one or two TIE fighters. That's a threat. And they also do a really good job of saying like, so in Rogue One, the story was about why was the Death Star so vulnerable? Why was there this like exploit in its architecture where you could just shoot like one bullet and make it explode, right? Do you remember that in there? Yeah.
Yep.
So that.
Yeah, Luke flying through the alley.
So they went back and explained why that was there. I mean, that didn't really need an explanation, but it was neat that they did that. In this, it's much more nuanced and much more about like, why is the Empire this gigantic systemic force, this institution in the galaxy? If they're so strong, if they're so smart, why do they keep getting fucked over by this ragtag group of rebels at every turn? Like, why is every movie them being able to bypass their security and get onto the Death Star and get onto the Star Killers, and why are they able to just sort of like, bypass all of this stuff? And they get into it of like, because they're humans. They're just human people. They got swept up in the Empire, just sort of hired them on as like contractors basically. And it's just human people doing human stuff of just like falling asleep at the wheel and just not following up on leads. And it's a show that very much gets into like the intelligence gathering system kind of sucks, because they just at the base level and the ground level, they just don't give a fuck. They're not getting paid enough. They're not loyal to the Empire. You always think of like the stormtroopers and every sort of like mechanism within the Empire being like 100% loyal. Like, yes, sir, I'm going to do this right to the very end. I'm going to follow every lead. And it's like, no, they're just normal ass people just going about their day, sort of just being like, all right, well, you got the start off to the series is two Imperial guys, two Imperial spies, not spies, but two Imperial like investigators get gunned down by Andor. Andor kills them, runs off, and then that sort of kicks off the rest of the series of like investigating who these guys were, who killed them, and the main investigator for the Empire was named. Hold on, let me pull it up here real quick. His name is Cyril Karn. So Cyril Karn basically goes above the head of his immediate supervisor. His immediate supervisor says to him, well, the fuck? Hello? What was that?
That's my bad.
Okay. All right.
Cat stepped on the soundboard.
Okay. It's like you're wrapping me up here. I'm getting the walk-off music like in the Oscars.
Oh, yeah. I was giving you the Emmy thing.
Wrap it up. So.
Also, the cat stepped on the board before, and Vin Diesel started talking about family. So that's in there, too.
All right. So, Cyril Karn. Yeah, that's fine. Cyril Karn goes above his inspector's head and says, I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to find this one guy. And he keeps bumping up against people that are like, but we have to do work. I don't want to do work. This is a lot of work just to find one guy, and I really don't want to do it, and I really don't think it's worth it. And he's like, no. Are you a loyal fucking Empire employee? Well, then you will do this because blah, blah, blah. And so it's sort of that sort of thing. So a lot of really good writing in the show. Let me just pull up the quote I had on the comments here. Luthen says to Andor as he's recruiting him to be a part of the Rebel Alliance, he says to him, quote, so what I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all at once for something real than carve off useless pieces till there's nothing left? It's just an incredible line about are you just going to keep running and keep destroying one of your parts of your life? You're going to destroy this safe house you have over here and move over there and drop this friend because he's dead or he gave you up, or, are you just going to keep running for the rest of your life, or are you actually going to, man up and actually be part of something big? So really great way of sort of saying what you're saying without actually saying it. So highly, 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 highly recommend watching Andor.
Nice. I like what you're saying about stormtroopers just being regular ass dudes. It's like, none of them, they were hired to shoot a gun, but none of them have good aim. So the whole thing where it's just like, oh yeah, these are normal ass people. It's like, yeah, most of them got a job without even having the proper requirements.
Yeah, without the proper requirements and not really giving a shit, because it's just their job, really. They're getting paid to do a job, and they're pretty much just like anybody else. Yep.
All right. And eventually your army just gets so big where it's just you don't have the people watching. I mean, if you actually think of the logistics of it, they rule a universe, a galaxy, and it's just like, okay, well, you can't control everything. You're gonna have these branches that are just like, oh no, we're the party branch. It's people over in Vietnam, going over there for a vacation.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned
having cookouts and luau's and all that.
Yeah,
stormtroopers sitting there with a lei on his neck, and just grilling a I don't know what's an animal in Star
animal
Wars?
Star Wars, a tauntaun.
Tauntaun, yeah, just grilling a tauntaun. They're just like, what's up, bro? Toilet paper's in the back, beer's in the fridge.
I would love to see that. So let's get to top 5 best / favorite deaths in movies. I am
Holy shit, coming in hot.
Yep. I am the horror guy. I'm the guy that specializes in the horror, in the violence, in the grotesqueness, and the gruesome deaths and stuff. So I got mine all set. I had way too many things to choose from. I spent the last 3 days trying to go through my list and find the best stuff, the most gross stuff, the most interestingly clever kills. So got my list from there. How did you guys find it hard to craft a list since you're not really, horror isn't really your thing?
Oh, I did it in the last 45 minutes.
I'll go first. Oh, you'll go second.
I did it the last hour before the episode started here.
Okay, well, let's back up a little bit.
Classic Andy, but he did it. That's the takeaway. Is that he did it,
and I'm glad you did it, and we're glad.
I did it when you presented it to me, and I meant to go back and clean it up, and I never did. So I kind of finished it up here. I guess what I want to ask you is what exactly are okay, so can my guideline for this, at least for the top 3, were the deaths that stick with me, that I saw, and they stick with me
duplicates
for the rest of my life. Oh, I don't know. I mean, my horror, like I said, I'm not a fan of jump scares. I like the psychological horror stuff, but for the most part, a lot of stuff was just jump scary, and I just never took to it. So the amount of movies that I've actually watched that are scary are low. Which brings me to my next point is like shows that maybe aren't exclusively horror movies. Do you count those like I don't know, like say Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
I just said gruesome deaths. And that can be
horseshit.
It was gruesome.
Yeah.
It was gruesome.
I watched that. Yeah, I watched that for the first time this year.
Yeah, and he knows what I'm good. I mean, are those counted? Would you count that?
I mean, that's
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go back for a second and just talk about generally. Like, was it hard? Were you guys always into horror at all? Was there was there a point at which you saw a horrific thing, or you watched a horror movie as a kid, or saw a horrific event on TV where you're like, nope, that's not for me. That hurts my eyes, and I want to not ever experience that again?
I have never particularly been drawn to horror, the genre in and of itself. Like, I always respect it, especially because listening to heavy metal, so much of that is inspired by the genre. But the movies themselves, I would always rather laugh.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a traumatic experience you had of watching like Freddy gut a guy, or you didn't see like Hellraiser. You didn't see a particular scene there where like, ugh.
No, in
one
fact,
thing.
I think that's why I was never particularly interested in it. Like, I did have nightmares about Freddy Krueger when I was 5, and that's why I grew up telling myself I didn't like horror movies.
Yeah.
More broader question is, why was I allowed to watch Freddy Krueger when I was 5? But
yeah.
Yeah. Damian's like, there's nothing wrong with that. What are you talking about? I'll say there was a turning point. Like, when I was a child, I mean, I don't like being scared now. I didn't like being scared then. So horror movies back then were like, I didn't dabble with them at all. I remember being like afraid of like Disney movies, or you remember how movies back then were, like we went through it with that tournament that we had of like just fucked up things that we saw in movies as children, like Never Ending Story, things like that, or like that kind of stuff was enough to put emotional trauma in me. Like, but then like I turned into a teenager, and then it was like I kind of got on board with like some blood and guts stuff. Like, it's like, like I remember I watched like Freddy vs. Jason, and like those aren't horror movies per se, but they were just like really, like gore-filled stuff. And there was a point where I was like, I will continue to watch this. Like, I don't know, there was like some kind of weird intrigue to it. I was never like drawn to it, but I was just like, all right, everybody else is doing it, I'll watch it too. I can handle that. But then there was like a movie later on. What the hell was it? Like Last House on the Left. Which one was the one where that the girl got raped?
There's many of them.
And it was like super. Well, I mean, there was like one in particular, like they were advertising, like, like people have walked out of the theater. Like this was like actual commercial on television. They were saying how people have walked out of the theater, and it's like, and obviously everybody that we were friends with, they're like, we're gonna watch that. And I remember watching it, and I actually walked out of the theater. I was like, this is not like what I sign up for. Like I didn't expect to see this. This is what you meant. Like, I don't want to watch this. And then like from that point on, it was just like I grew jaded to it all.
So,
and now I am who I am.
Yeah, it's interesting if you go. Okay.
Oh, and then in between that too, I never liked jump scares. So
of course,
all that stuff.
Of course. So yeah, I think maybe people don't know, if they're not like a super horror aficionado. The Last House on the Left, the one you mentioned, the original was written and directed by Wes Craven. That was sort of his jumping into, that was his first feature-length film. And then obviously he went on to do the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, but he also did the first original The Hills Have Eyes in 1977, and then he started doing the Nightmare on Elm Street in 84. So he's actually, Wes Craven is one of those guys you think of for Nightmare on Elm Street, but he also sort of did a lot of those, like you said, sexual assault, sex revenge genre movies way back in the day, back in the 70s. Yes.
Okay.
So there you go. So let's get diving into our top 5. I will start because I have a 5A and 5B. I want to talk about my 5B because it's a movie that you and I saw, Dion, together. We did a watch along podcast with this movie called Hereditary. Right?
I know what you're gonna say.
And let me I'll pull this up. Andy, have you seen the film Hereditary?
Yes. Let me Google it real quick to try to refresh my memory.
Well, you don't.
But yeah,
you don't have to Google it because I will pull it up right now if the screen share works. I'll give it a shot and try it. Pull it up, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I'll try it anyway. I'll mute the sound because we don't really need a sound. Is that working for y'all? You see my video?
I don't see
anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Oh, yep. I see that.
But, yeah,
Okay.
I think I gotta watch it.
So Andy, you said you've seen this, but we weren't too familiar with it.
Hold up. I actually don't see anything.
All right, I just paused it so we can chat about it for a second.
Oh, good.
Okay. Did you hear my question?
Did you share something? I don't.
He's asking you a
see
question, Andy.
Say again?
Was it in the Discord?
It was with my voice. Let me try it again. Have you seen Hereditary?
I said yes, but I was going to Google it,
Okay.
and then you told me not to Google it because you were going to share something.
That was it. Yep, I shared it. So, are you aware of the scene? Can you sort of you want to be narrated along, or you want to do it together?
The
We
scene.
all do it together. The scene in Hereditary. When I say the scene in Hereditary, you should know what I mean. So I'm going to start playing it. You have Peter's younger sister had a anaphylactic shock. She had some pecans at a party, and Peter just tried to avoid hitting a deer, and his sister's head just banged against a telephone pole, and her head dislocated from her body, which, Andy, as a nurse, is that physically possible to knock your head clean like that? Is that anatomically correct?
To have her head separate from her body?
Like that cleanly? Like, would it? I'm thinking it's just like knocked back and she would break her neck. Does a head actually come off that clean without like a guillotine cutting the neck? Can you actually? Would a head actually detach from a body like that with just enough force?
With enough force? I mean, with enough force, sure, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But I really
Because it seemed like
YouTube this because I don't remember this movie off the top of my head.
I mean, it's playing right now. I don't know. Can you see it or not?
I don't see anything. No.
No, I can't see, so I don't reckon he can.
The stream is running. We've paused this source to save resources. There
I
should be
see
another. There should
something-
be a fourth.
I see something that says you're sharing
What?
your screen.
So there's like a button I can click that says watch stream.
That would be the one. Yep.
But
You want to
never-
click that. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
No, I know.
You're on it.
I'm on it, and it's not working.
So is it not? You're not seeing it being played, or?
No, I'm seeing 2 boxes spinning.
Okay. So you might want to said that at the beginning because I just narrated it, but that's okay. Anyways.
No, I know.
You
That's good.
know it.
That's good to
Okay.
narrate.
Okay. So that was my 5. Yeah.
I mean, you kind of got to walk us through it because it's your favorite death scene. So
Yes.
either way, it's good to
Okay,
say.
so that was my number 6B. Is that anywhere on your guys' list?
Did you say your number is 6B?
That was my 5. I had a 5A and a 5B. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically, it's 6. That wasn't on my list because I knew it was going to be on your list.
Yes, it was. So that was my 5B. My 5A is Olga's death scene in Suspiria, and I really wanted this sort of screen sharing to work. Let me try one more time. So Suspiria is a remake of a 1978 movie directed by what's his guy's name? I actually watched the original the other day. It's not very good. I very much prefer this version of it. Luca Guadagnino directed this, same guy that did Call Me by Your Name. So he has a lot of different genres he likes to work in, apparently. Likes to work in romance and body horror. So we have a scene here of a woman doing interpretive dance, and also a second woman that's also being controlled by her. Kristen Johnson, I believe her name is. And she's doing all these different maneuvers with her body. And somebody else is also doing maneuvers with her body, but being twisted and contorted in ways that the body shouldn't contort at all. Right?
Yep.
I have Tilda Swinton as the instructor watching this. Nobody's watching the other woman in the other room being, and her jaw just went the other way, and her teeth went the opposite way. Yeah, teeth stuff.
Why?
What?
Why is she contorting this way while the other one
It's
isn't?
a possession thing. She's being possessed. And so she's sort of doing the same movements as the other person, but in a much more grotesque manner, and she's pissing herself, apparently.
I bet she is. Yeah.
There's a lot more context that you're missing by only seeing the scene itself. I think they're using her power, like they're using the energy of the woman here in this room and transferring it to the other woman in the other room.
It's just that she's
it
moving so
doesn't,
gracefully, and the other one is doing the
it does,
total
yes,
opposite.
exactly. It's beauty, and it's also grotesque being juxtaposed together. I think that's the message there. So yeah, if anybody's seen this, Suspiria from Suspiria.
No.
Have not.
Also,
Is this more like she's shadowboxing?
I don't really know what's happening. I think that's the point.
Like she's twisting her hands there, and then her body is twisting, so she's got to be aware that she's doing this. Is that a spoiler?
I really don't know. You're asking questions that are not meant to be answered. So yeah, I'm gonna hit pause on there. So yeah, that was my number 5. That was my number 5A death scene in a film. Olga's death scene in Suspiria from 2018. So there you go. Dion, what is your number 5 favorite death scene?
Oh, my number 5. I kind of said it at the top, but it was a tune shoe getting dipped in the acid, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Nice.
Judge Doom.
That blood-curdling
was,
scream.
Dude, that shoe was like a little puppy. It came over willingly, and it was just like, pet me, and he picks it up, and it's like, oh, what's happening? I'm just an innocent little tune. And then just dips him into the acid slowly, and there's pleading eyes. The eyes are pleading, like, why are you doing this?
Yep.
Why? And then it just evaporated into.
Ilgam has
into
never
view,
seen that movie.
and
We should probably watch that.
Holy moly. I felt so bad for that thing. Woof.
Yeah, it's rough. I've seen it for the first time this year, and you're correct. That was a rough scene.
Actually, I have a 5B too, and I also didn't know if this was going to count. But has anyone watched RoboCop?
Not in like 20 years,
Okay.
but go on.
The scene where he, ends up confronting the gang as a human, and they basically just like blow off both his kneecaps with shotguns, and then they all just start shooting, unloading on him, and he's just turned into giblets. And his partner's like, the partner's watching,
shot his dick off,
and he's just like screaming for like 5 minutes, like, oh! And he's like, pop, 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 pop. And basically all that's left is a face that they glue onto a RoboCop later on. But just like all the giblets getting sprayed everywhere. That's another one that lives rent free up here in my old noggin. The giblets, yep. Giblets and the fluids and everything. So there's my 5As and 5B.
Yes, one classic body horror. Yeah, I'll put it in. I'll put it into the chat.
Don't worry, it gets better. It gets better, buddy. It gets better.
Go to 3 minutes 50 seconds if you want to. Yeah, awful scene. So that was your 5A. Andy, what was your number 5 death scene? Favorite death scene?
Yeah. So I tried to do things that are somewhat current for the most part here. My number 5, I went with Midsummer from a few years ago, with the ritualistic suicides of the elders and how they showed them diving off the cliff and just really showed the impact, the damage of the impact, and then followed up swiftly by smashing their heads with mallets.
Yeah, so in that scene, you have the wife doing it correctly. She dives off head first, so she dies pretty quickly.
Right.
The idiot husband dives feet first, and it's not super far, so he only breaks his ankles and probably his tibia and probably other bones in his feet and legs. So he's still very much alive and just like groaning and moaning and just in a bad way. So they have to bring over these mallets, which I assume this has happened before since they were at the ready with those things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Break in case of emergency. In case Phil jumps in the wood chipper feet first.
So they had to bring the giant mallet over and smash him in the head with the mallet. Yeah. There's a couple in there. So, yeah, I've seen this. Dion, have you seen Midsommar? Okay. This is a movie where there's a bunch of different ones you could pick from. The very opening scene is of Florence Pugh's sister killing herself, but not just herself. Like she does the car in the garage thing, but then she's like, well, that's not enough. I want to kill my parents too. So I'm going to take this fucking PVC piping and run it all the way up into my parents' room, through the house, through the door, through the house, up into my parents' room, and pump in the carbon monoxide being pumped out from the car. I'm going to kill my parents that way too. I was like, what the fuck? We say this all the time, but this came from somebody's brain. Somebody thought of this. It's fucking disgusting. To even put that thought onto the world, Yes.
Very true. That actually sounds disgusting. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Really like the casting in this. You have the guy from The Good Place. Chidi from The Good Place was in this, right? Yes.
Chidi.
Forgot the actor's name, but he's in this. Florence Pugh obviously is in this. Yeah. Then you have the other death, which you can talk about from this movie, is the end death scene with the boyfriend being put into the bear suit and being burned alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I actually forgot about that one, so I went with my original, the one that I actually remembered from the movie. And then pre-show here, as I was recapping some films, that came up, and I rolled with my original thing that stuck in my head. But yeah, wow, I don't know how that one wasn't in there somewhere.
Right. So yep, we're back to me. My number 4. I'm gonna pull up here, drop it in chat, so we can all experience the trauma together. Drop this in here. My number 4 is another new one, another recent modern. You're going to watch it. You will, in fact, watch this scene. This is from Georgie meeting Pennywise in the beginning of 2017's It, Chapter 1. You have little bitty Georgie with his yellow raincoat going to catch his paper boat that goes down into the sewer, where he meets Pennywise the clown. Pennywise is talking to him. He's like, hey, what's up, Georgie? Hey, Georgie. Fucking Bill Skarsgård and his fucking mouth and his face and his voice and his eyeball. Did you know he can actually do that with his eyeball? That wasn't CGI. He can actually make his left eyeball move independently from his right eyeball, which is interesting.
Diabolical.
Yes. Andy, you got this pulled up?
Yeah, I see it here.
Yeah, you got it pulled up?
Yep.
Okay. Go to like 2 minutes. Actually, go to like 2 minutes 55. Georgie reaches for the paper boat, and Pennywise's mouth, his maw, opens up, and these like massive rows, like 3 rows of teeth, protrude from his face hole and bite Georgie's little hand, rip his arm off, and then you see Georgie crawling away, trying to escape, and then you see something grab him and pull him down to the sewers. Whew! Woof. That's a fucking death scene.
Yes, it is.
Indeed. Dion, what's your number 4 death scene?
My number 4, I'll put it in the chat too. A little bit more lighthearted.
Lighthearted,
than yours.
Exactly.
Friday the 13th, 7?
7, yes.
7? No. The New Blood. Whatever the hell it was. Where Jason beats a motherfucker in a sleeping bag against a tree until death. And it's actually, there's the fun fact to it. In the actual movie, he only hits the tree once. But there are actually clips that have circulated of multiple hits against the tree. And it's much more satisfying. I don't know why they left three smashes against the tree on the cutting room floor, but they should have added them all, and it shouldn't have just been one. But get them all in there. And can we give it up for the line of dialogue? Come get me, you big hunk of a man.
That's incredible.
This one is a little lighthearted.
Sure.
The other three are, but this. I mean, I can't resist. Like a motherfucker beating a motherfucker.
Well,
in a sleeping bag against a tree.
Yes, they do that. The motherfucker with the motherfucker is done in Jason X. A couple kills in Jason X are referenced later on. They reference this scene in Jason X, Jason in Space, they have like an AI or like a hologram room that Jason goes into, and they recreate this scene, except they have 2 people in 2 separate sleeping bags, and Jason takes one of them and beats the other one with the other person in the sleeping bag multiple times. So yeah, incredible. Couple, I don't know if they'll be on your list, but a couple Jason kills that I remember from my youth. I watched all these multiple times. There's one in Jason 8, Jason Goes to Manhattan, where a guy is a boxer and he tries to punch Jason apparently in his face with the mask on, which isn't a smart idea. They're on this rooftop and the guy is just smacking him in the face with his bare hands, and his hands get all bloody and shit. And then he's like, "Take your best shot, motherfucker." And Jason just like one taps him with his fucking, smashes his head off. His head goes flying. I'm like, yeah. Yep, that wasn't very smart, was it? No. Yeah.
Yep.
Nope.
Idiot.
Stupid idiot, exactly. So that was your number 4. Andy, what is your number 4?
My number 4 was the final scene from the movie Saint Maud.
Oh, you watched it. You didn't tell me to watch this. I love this movie.
So we watched it a while back.
Not.
I actually completely forgot about it until I was Googling death scenes from recent movies in the previous couple of hours. But, after upon reviewing, I really enjoyed that movie. The main character was this delusional, psychotic, disbarred nurse who was taking care of someone at home, but she was actually not a nurse anymore. But they don't, when you're doing private duty caregiving, no one's really checking that. But yeah, long story short, at the end of the film, she is she's really truly delusional in believing she's like an angel that's fallen from heaven, and she has just killed the person she was taking care of, and she that's the clip right there. And she douses herself in gasoline or acetone or something, and lights herself on fire on a public beach. And they show her and how she's perceiving what's happening as this grandiose delusion where she's an angel ascending to heaven. And then they abruptly switch to what's actually happening, where she is screaming and dying and her flesh is melting on the beach with everybody watching. It was a pretty cool ending.
Yeah, one of my favorite endings the past few years of any horror movie. Moyford Clark is the main character. She is now Galadriel in the Rings of Power series. Really love seeing her in that, and this is Yeah, incredible performance, very subdued. Yeah, like I said, I've mentioned this before, but like the last, literally the last frame, if you guys watch that, it's the last frame in the movie. It's like, ah! Great ending. Fucking great. One of the best endings I've seen in a long time. Yep. Cut to black. Ah! Cut to black. Bam. Fantastic. Indeed. All right, back to me. Going with some classics. My 3 through 1 are going to be classics. I've talked about them before, but they are just classics for a reason. I love them very, very much. Let me plug this in, find the clip. Quint in Jaws. When he dies, it's one of those scenes I remember seeing as a kid. Again, I watched a lot of traumatic shit as a youngin', as a young lad, horror movies and stuff like that. Some people, will call this a horror movie. I would agree. Obviously you don't need to classify it as one thing or another. It can be multiple things. This is a creature feature. It's a horror movie. It's a thriller. It's a many different things. But yeah, incredible scene. If you guys don't remember it or haven't seen it in a long time, plug it in there. Just the sound. A lot of times attacks or kills or whatever will be very impactful or less impactful, not even based on how it looks, but how it sounds. And in this scene, even though it's from 1975, incredible sounds, him screaming, the crunching sound, him trying to desperately kick himself away from the thing, everything just works really, really well to make this such an effective scene. Really affecting and effective scene. Let me know when you guys pull it up.
Oh, I'm 30 seconds in, baby.
You might want to back away from the mic. Yeah, you might want to back away from the mic because I'm chopping up pretty bad lately. Back up the mic or reset it, maybe. Dion, do you have this pulled up? Okay.
I do, yes.
Do you want to let me know when you hit play on there so we can watch it together?
Go.
Play. Okay. So the boat is sinking. Have you seen this, by the way? Let's start there. Not for a while?
It's been a while.
Okay. So the boat is sinking. It's been sinking for a while. When I go back and watch this, I always forget how long the boat sinks for. It starts sinking like in the early morning, and it doesn't start like completely submerging into the water until maybe late morning. So the boat's been sinking for a while, and it's finally low enough into the water where the shark can actually come out of the water and go into the boat, and that's when Quint falls into the water right at the very back of the ship where Jaws is. So at one point he actually slides down where the shark is able to climb back up, but then he loses his grip on Brody, and Brody lets him go, and then the shark just takes him. Crunch. See water. It's that dark blood too. Like, it was pretty rare back then to see dark blood being used like that. I think somebody mentioned, like, because of the way the cameras caught it, for some reason darker blood would be captured as this bright, very, unrealistic looking blood, but that had, that was dark. Dark, deep red that you're used to seeing. So yeah, that was my number 3.
You know what the most fucked up part of that, I think, is just like, I mean, you're on the ocean, but just all that screaming, all it's like you said, the noises, and then he just pulls them off into the ocean underwater, and then it's silent. Like, that's super unnerving, Like, yeah, just being alone now. There was a dude with you before. There was this battle you saw between man and beast, and now it's just quiet. And eventually that shark's gonna come back for you. Like, that's
exactly.
Awesome. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. The fear, the visceral fear inside. That's the stuff
that makes you afraid to go to the beach or go out on a boat.
It's just when you thought it was safe to go in the water.
Not necessarily afraid to in real life, but it's always in the back of your mind.
Well, that was the log tagline of Jaws 2. That's what I was referencing there.
It's always in the back of your mind.
Right.
Okay. Dion, what's your number 3? All right. Yes.
My number 3 is the opening. Yep. You talk about classics. This This one, it was kind of like my reintroduction into horror, for the most part, and I didn't think too much of it. Like, I mean, obviously, I thought a lot of it. It made my list at number 3, but after all these years, you kind of lose sight of it. But then you actually go back and watch it, and that opening scene from Scream was pretty brutal. The just the toying with her. I mean, it's a meme basically at this point. But like the phone call, it's like let's play a game, all this stuff, and then it starts getting real, and he's like, "Don't you ever hang up on me? I'll cut you like a fish, bitch," And he's like, "Guess what door I'm at?" And it's like, "I'll give you a hint." And he throws a chair through the one that he's at, and it's like, woo, like all that stuff. Like that's the things that get me the most, the things that I feel like actually could happen. Like you could have, I'm not going to be on a boat seeing the most giant shark ever. Like that's never going to happen in my lifetime. Somebody stalking outside my house, throwing chairs through the window, saying they're going to kill me. That seems probable, in the realm of possibilities. That is more likely than being devoured by a shark. So when I'm watching this one, it's like, all right, you just got that whole buildup, and then the shit starts happening. Like she's out of the house, she's got the knife, and then you got what was it? Yep, Ghostface. He finally gets to her. He jumps out the window. He's like stabs her in the chest finally, and it's just like you talk about noises like just the noise of a knife penetrating you just hangs with me. And that might be a spoiler for what's to come in my my list. But it doesn't just stop there, like then he slashes her throat. And she's still alive. She knees him in the dick and she starts running. And then she sees her parents, and then she's at the end of the porch, and she's calling for her mom, but she can't say anything because her throat box.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Her voice box is severed. So she's like, whisper.
Yep.
And then it's just over from there. And he just starts just hacking and slashing and even they had that slow motion chase scene too, that was odd, but you're looking back on it, it's just I don't know. In that moment, everything was probably going so fast, but just the slow down for effect. I still remember that pretty vividly. And then the parents are inside and they're just they can hear her gasping on the phone, being dragged through the yard. And then it's get out of the house, go to the neighbors, call the cops. They open the door, and then her bloody corpse is just hanging from a tree. It's Jesus.
Awful. Good pick. Good.
Yep.
Yes.
Classic kill.
Yes.
I think a lot of, like I said, I think throughout time it kind of got just forgotten about, but just watch it, and it's just a very
great,
very brutal.
Great scene. Andy, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Cabin Fever from 2002. This is one I actually saw in the theater, and there was one scene that kind of in the vein of what Dion was talking about, things that really stuck with you. There's one scene in particular where there was a girl shaving her legs in the bathtub. So the whole premise of the movie was that there was this flesh-eating bacteria or disease that was being spread among the friends. Can you hear me? All right, word. Yeah,
I can hear you.
Flesh-eating bacteria. Girl shaving her legs in a bathtub.
Is this
Cabin Fever?
Cabin
That's
Fever?
The one. And as she's shaving, she's just taking up the skin on her legs, and she doesn't even realize it. And then they show you her back, and it's already all decrepit and falling off. And then as soon as she realizes what's happening, she jumps out, throws on her bathrobe, and runs outside trying to find help. And what's waiting for her outside? Not help. Rabid dog. Jumps her and rips her apart.
Oh my god, core memory unlocked.
This is a film. This is one I didn't specifically.
Oh, shit.
We must have been 19 or maybe okay, 2002.
2002, so it would have been 2020.
18,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that sounds right.
18, yeah. 18,
When
yeah,
doing
17,
the
18.
research, the 30 to 45 minutes before the show, I realized this was a boob scene. I didn't know that, but that's why it's in my brain.
Okay. All right.
Subliminal
there you go.
boobs.
Yeah, subliminal boobs. Gotcha. Was that also the scene where like he was kind of like fingering
Oh,
her?
that's good.
And they were like,
no,
noises?
but I remember that now that you mention it. That was something different.
Oh
Not
man,
this
that
scene
was
though. But yeah,
okay.
I think it
It was
was
the same movie, a different scene though. Okay. that yeah, that was something. That movie was
Yep.
whoo-wee.
Yep. All right, cool.
Wow. And all that happened because like there was a dead body trapped at the top of a reservoir or something? Or am I
Do not remember the details.
Do you remember how that happened? Okay. All right.
Cabin fever
wow.
fingering.
I was not expecting to hear that on a list, but
Cabin fever fingering. No, that doesn't bring up anything.
Hey, so what is where are we at? Number 2 for me, right? Okay,
yes.
2
We're at
for
2
me.
for you.
Let me plug this into. Oops. My number 2 is similar to the ones I had. It's gonna be a classic. Gonna be all-time classic. We all know it. You know it. I know it. Here we go. My number 2 is, I don't know the guy's name. Leatherface's First the Victim. This gets back to the sound thing. And also something you don't really ever see when somebody gets head trauma or anything like that. But he's like, he gets knocked in the head and it starts twitching. You never really see anybody have seizures or anything like that. You see it quite often, like, in football, or like you do that, like, there's a name for it, but like your limbs all go stiff and shit. You never see that either. So I'm wondering if he was told to do this, or like this is like something that he came up on the spot. But that's really nothing you really ever see of somebody getting blasted in the head really hard and then seizing at the end there. So that's a reason it really sticks in your head. And also it's just there's no music to it. There's no, like, it's not a true jump scare. I mean, there's a guy comes out of the back of the room and just like grabs the guy and smacks him on the head and then drags him out and then slams the steel door shut on him. And you're like, what the fuck was that? Who is this person wearing a mask? What is the mask made of? Why is there so many things hanging on the wall? Is the grandpa alive? How is he alive? And then you get the scene where they put her finger in his mouth and he sucks on it. There's just so many moments in this movie that I've really never seen before or again that really, really stick in your head like this.
Yeah. No, I agree. Definitely. I don't think I've made it through
It's
that
not
entire
even that
movie.
bad.
I did come across
Yeah.
this clip though. And what you're saying about the twitching, like it does add an element to it. You say you don't see it too much. I would see it a lot in like professional wrestling. Like after someone hits a move, like someone that really did a lot, Bubba Ray Dudley, he would always do like this like seizing thing after he took some kind of move. And it's cheesy, but like at the same time, like, it kind of added an element to it. Like, I mean, you don't really see it in like professional fights unless it's like something's really fucked up. But I think what you were talking about, like, I forget what the exact term was, but like basically you starched you're fencing. Fencing, that's the term. When your arms are stuck out or like that. Actually, there was recently a football player that did that on live television after like a second concussion. People thought he was like dead. But But actually, when you talk about the feet kicking, and it's not exactly seizing, but in your favorite movie, No Country for Old Men, when he's strangling the dude, that's something I remember too. Like, and they really emphasize it too, because you got all those skin marks on the floor from the soles of his shoes, and I was like, that's another one of those movies where it's just like it added more to the scene
Yes.
because of the struggle. And I see that a lot. I wonder if it was kind of like that same kind of detail was pulled from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though it's not even like the same type of movie. But
yeah, I was
just
going to say, it's interesting you haven't been able to get through this
really
because a lot of it's like there's two things going on that you don't really see in a lot of horror movies, which is there's a lot of build up. There's like 45 minutes of just nothing really happening. And then when things do start popping off, there's not a lot of blood at all throughout this movie. This movie is known for having, a pretty gruesome blood and guts in it, but it's really not. You go back and look at like the scenes that have gore in them, and it's, I think one of the guys or the women in the group get hung up on a meat stick, but you don't meat hook, but you don't see that coming through the other side. You don't see her bleeding all that much. I think it was probably part of the budget of the movie. They didn't have any money to put into these special effects, so they had to do interesting shots with it where you don't see the after effects of everything. So, I think the movie was made for like $250,000, maybe even less. So they really couldn't.
Yeah. What they skimped on in that department, though, they made up like just sheer terror. Like it was the presence of Leatherface that was the thing that struck the fear in your heart. Like he didn't even have to do anything. You just knew that from the first sight, you knew that dude was a problem.
Exactly. What is your number 2?
My number 2 is from the movie Paranormal Activity.
Yep.
The ending. The build up to that, like there's like that whole movie too. Like when I poke my head up in the crawl space attic up here, up in my house, like I have flashbacks to this. I expect to see a picture in the far distance. I see footprints all over the place. I don't go up there unless I have my wife at the bottom, like right there. So like if the demon gets me, she might be able to pull me out. But this movie, like particularly the scene in general where they are filming themselves sleeping. That I think they had been doing that for the entire movie. The wife is always just doing the craziest things because she is possessed by the demon. And there's just on the footage, there's just like a 5-hour part where she's just staring at the husband sleeping in bed, and that is just off-putting as fuck.
Right.
I don't care if my kids will do that sometimes. So like they don't wake you up. Right. They just stare at you until you wake up. And I don't know how your body like processes that there's someone in front of you, like, and it forces you to wake up. But like you would do it to your parents as a kid too. Like it's just this thing, and you wake up from it, and it's just like, why? Why are you the way you are? Anyways, she ends up going downstairs, and then you just blood-curdling scream. Husband jumps out of bed, runs downstairs. A kerfuffle ensues downstairs, and then there's silence. And that's something. You just leave it at that. But they didn't. You hear a faint thud, and then you hear another one, and it slowly gets louder and louder. I'm giving myself chills as you start to realize whatever it was is coming back up the stairs, and it's not human. And they get to the top of the stairs. You can't quite see them until you see the husband's body flying back into the room, smashing into the camera.
Yeah.
Woo! Woo! I'm so chilly right now. And then the wife comes in, gives him the side, tilt the head, bends down, and I can only assume begins to eat the now deceased husband. And then screams in the camera. Just one final jump scare for you, and that's it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. This movie terrifies me.
Great pick.
Found footage stuff always terrifies me, but like this movie took it to a different level. I know your favorite was Blair Witch, but I tell you what, this caused me many a sleepless nights.
Pretty good pick. I was just perusing some death scenes. Before we get to number one, I want to plug in this one here, right here. Should play at the spot I wanted you to play it at. Let me see.
Disturbing and violent movie.
So this scene,
cool.
it's opening up with Viggo Mortensen, right, in a coffee shop. Okay, so yeah, just check out that for a minute here.
It's opening.
He's a retired assassin, I believe. Yeah, I can tell.
Started at
started
at 0. What approximate time do you want me to say?
Yeah, don't even try. Wait until the video's over and say whatever you're gonna say. So Viggo he's retired assassin, I think, or retired mafia guy, and the guys he used to work with come into the bar looking for him, come into the coffee shop looking for him, and he just takes one out with the coffee pot to the face, probably steamy hot coffee to the face. And then, yeah, that scene right there. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the guy, I think the guy he shot or hit with the coffee pot, like his whole bottom of his face was just gone. His jaw was just gone. So, yeah. With the tongue dangling. He can keep his tongue as well. Yep. Exactly. That one I should have put in there. That was an honorable mention. I'll do honorable mentions before I do number one. But we got to do Andy's number two.
Heyo.
Make sure to shut everything down.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, shut everything down.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah, you're back. You're back, baby.
You're back.
I'm sending
What's
you
number two?
a clip.
Oh yeah, I came across this one.
Yeah.
I was like, this is very good. I saw this whole trilogy last month.
We also we
very
watched
good.
this trilogy. The first one I do think was the best of the three. It's this so for those of you who are not in our Discord, it's the Fear Street Part 1, 1994 is the year that it is set in. It's very, very early in the movie. The main character, or who you think is the main character, is stabbed and shoved through a bread slicer in a grocery store in the bakery, which is...
Is that cake on her face?
Yeah. Yes. I think some leftover cake was in the bread slicer.
Bread slicer, right?
I believe so.
Also blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this particular scene, this was not a series I went into thinking, oh, this is going to be great, because it looks cheesy as hell at a glance. You know, it looks like it's going to be like some, like, you know, teeny bopper kind of thing. Because I'm pretty sure the Fear Street is based off an R.L. Stine book series, isn't it? I believe
it might just borrow the name. I'm not sure.
It seems like they just borrowed the name.
Yeah,
just the title.
But yeah, so the first movie was surprisingly good, and there's a nice balance of corny and gory throughout the entire series, which really it was good. It was good, and this particular scene set the tone for the whole thing, for the whole trilogy.
Yes. Okay. Very cool. So we did our number.
You should.
Never watched any of them.
Good.
They're very good.
The first one's good. They're all good.
Yeah.
First one's the best.
To be honest with you, I'm not gonna watch
Great.
that.
Fantastic. Great. Fantastic.
Tis
Yep.
the season,
Let
bro.
me see if I can find the scene. Right. Let me find the scene real quick. So my number one is from a movie from 1968, the original Night of the Living Dead. So we sort of think of like social justice stuff and woke stuff as being very now. The original survivor of the original Night of the Living Dead was an actor named Dwayne Jones. He was a black man. His character's name was Ben. So right there, you already have the original survivor, one of the original horror movies, being a black man already. So that's nothing new. And also, you know, you think back to the time that this came out in 1968. You had Martin Luther King Jr. being assassinated a few years before. I believe Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated then. You had JFK a few years before that. So I think this movie very much touches on a lot of that stuff. And the end scene here, you have Ben, being the survivor, waiting to be rescued, looks out at the window. He's holding a gun. So I'm not sure if they see him holding the gun, but sheriff and deputy and a bunch of other people from the town come up to the house, and they see somebody. They never really explain whether or not they know that he's not a zombie, but they just see somebody in there moving around, and so they take the shot and shoot him in the head. So that's all to say, we really do think that having a female lead or having a black lead or having whatever, a minority lead or having minorities in things now is trendy, but it's really not new at all. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying about that.
Well said.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's good.
Amen.
Okay, cool. Yep. Okay.
It's good.
Okay, Dion, what's your number one?
Number one
They're strangers.
is from The Strangers.
Have you seen the sequel?
2008.
Sequel is pretty good.
I'm never gonna watch the sequel. Not even if there's a fire. So yeah, basically, just the ending to this, and it really kind of had like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe. You had that hallway, the door open, looking outside, and just like it's sunny out. Had like this. From that hallway, you just got like your normal ass day. You wouldn't think anything of it. And then you cut inside and you see, what's the actress' name? Can you help me? Aerosmith. Armageddon. What's her name? Liv Tyler. Thank you. Bound, gagged to a chair. Husband, in the other chair next to him. 3 total psychopaths, masked, standing in front of them, staring at them. Husband, wife, obviously hysterical. Like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Then the dude just gives this little side glance to the one standing next to her and doesn't react. But then the other bitch, she goes into the kitchen, comes back with a knife, nice sharp knife. And they start to understand the situation that they're in. And like there's more like struggle. The husband, the looks on his face, the acceptance, like, all right, this is it. She still doesn't get it, but this is it. And then when he finally calms her down with just like the look in his eyes, because they're both gagged, and they do their little head nudge and they're holding hands and stuff, and then the stabbing commences slowly. And you talk about sounds from the other ones. Yeah, just they take turns stabbing, and it's stabbing the dude first, and it's slow, it's deliberate, it's just, these things are things that can really happen. And actually, there was this quote that I got from something. I'll read it. The fact that The Strangers ends bathed in sunlight is both unexpected and terrifying, further cementing the film's core theme that random acts of violence are exactly that. It's the random ass act of violence. Some people just don't give a fuck. Consequences be damned. Doesn't matter who sees. To just have the curtains open. Doesn't even matter if there was a nosy neighbor. Like, they were going to kill these 2 people. All because of like some incident that was just, you looked at someone wrong earlier in the movie, You did something that's like, I can't exactly remember what it was that pissed them off. But from that point on, like, a path was followed. And the end result was just this disturbing, deliberate stabbing, death. And it's awful. It's awful. And I can't get, 2008, and I still, I just think of that sometimes. And it's just very, say humbling. I don't know. It's just whatever I'm doing at that point when I think something like that, it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna be a good dude, you know?
Well,
I'm just be nice to people.
okay, but
it's not hard to do.
Okay.
I'm not gonna stab people in the guts.
Okay.
So there you go. That's awful. I hate stabbing, dude. I hate stabbing. It's so personal. So disgusting. Ah.
Damian, what's up?
Go ahead. Somebody else.
So I was going to mention that there wasn't a reason for it. I don't know where you're getting this thing where they did something to them early in the movie, but they didn't do anything to them. That's the whole point of the movie. They specifically asked them, "Why are you doing this?" And Dollface says, "Because you were home." The nihilism and the lack of a twist or grand reveal was precisely why it's so terrifying. Is that there was no reason for it. It was arbitrary. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't remember exactly what. I mean, it was a random act of violence, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Just it's that though, you know. It's that stuff that just.
Yes, Andy. What is your number one?
Oh yeah,
best death in a movie? There wasn't really a death in that one, but that's fine.
It's from the classic Final Destination 2.
Yes. Great. Good.
Yeah. So this was.
Yes.
This is a scene that stuck with me throughout my life. Didn't know it was gonna, but it starts with the log falling off of a log truck and going right through the windshield and the skull of a cop. Takes him right out the back of the car, and that just triggers a huge chain of events. That's the bit that really just stuck with me. I still can't drive behind log trucks. Yeah, no, just we're not doing that. Nope.
Or anything
we are
hauling
either
anything of
going
any weight.
around them or we're staying back like a half mile from a logging truck.
Right. I mean, that's smart though. I mean, remember, if you can't,
Amen,
you can't see
brother.
their mirrors, they can't see you.
But what
Yeah,
I didn't remember,
that's just-
and I remembered upon Googling all this shit before the pod, but that triggered a motorcycle to wipe out who the driver ended up being crushed by his own bike. Another kid who was driving and doing coke simultaneously, always a good idea. He swerved, flipped his car, and you watch the scene where he flips his car and ultimately lands on his wheels, only to be T-boned by the tractor trailer. And then there's another accident with some girls who are like sticking their head out of a sky roof or a moon roof or something, and that doesn't end well. And then finally there's another guy, young kid, who is driving and he T-bones the gas tank on a semi and torches himself and just burns to death in the middle of the highway. There's a huge chain reaction that was... I remember, after I Googled this, I remember laughing out loud to it because how ridiculous it was. Turns out there was a lifetime of trauma associated with it.
Okay, great. I wasn't listening, but also I couldn't hear you very well. So did you mention the kid like smashing the two toy cars together? Like everything in that scene kind of
I didn't
predicted
mention it.
everything coming up.
I didn't mention it
later.
but I
okay.
It
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
That was cool. So,
man, remember that premise though? That was I thought that was the coolest thing. Like somehow you cheated death, and then like death came back for you.
Yeah, that was a great
I thought
series.
that was the coolest thing, man.
I mean, all of the deaths in the Final Destination
so that was
were all
oh my god.
very
Shit.
very unique.
Yeah, there are a few like Saw. Saw had some wild deaths too, but I thought that would be like
too easy. I know.
too easy. I don't know. I wanted you guys to get inside my head.
I
See where
googled
I'm
Saw deaths too to try to jog my memory, and yeah.
The reverse bear trap was the biggest one, but yeah. I'll tell you, some of these movies just like you watch them and it's just like it's like I said for strangers. It's like I'm just gonna do something else today, like. So it's not gonna be me. Not today, Death. Not today.
Right,
What's your
so those are top
one,
5
Damian?
favorite deaths in. Holy shit! I already said it, man.
Oh, word.
Yeah, he kicked it off.
Yep. I don't know what you just said, but this is our top 5 best deaths in horror movies. Anybody have any honorable mentions so we can get out of here because I actually have to go pretty soon. Do the number 2. Okay,
No,
part 2 coming up later on. They're posted the same day. Yep.
I got a question though. I'm sorry. Like for these things, like these death scenes, like for the viewer, it's traumatic to see these kind of things. But like, I know that in movie making, takes don't always go. You don't always get it on the first try. So it's like you got to keep doing this over and over again. And I get that it's like a performance, and you're working with actors and whatever. But how are you gonna go and tell me that like the ending of Strangers, where like, the bride and groom are just they're like doing the sobbing, they're like holding hands and everything, and it's just like you just gotta like, oh, that one didn't work. Oh, that one didn't work. We gotta do it again. Keep stabbing. And you spend 24 hours just getting like stabbed by your crewmate, your castmate. It's just like, what is the guideline for it? As director, you're watching that. It's just like, all right, yeah, I need to go take a shower because I got to get all this off me. So that means it was a good take. That means we got what we wanted. Like, how are you walking away from like a movie like that in the right headspace? How do you decompress at the end of the day of like getting stabbed for 24 hours straight? Like, right. I just don't get that.
Right.
I don't get that.
All right, so I think that'll do it. I think we're about done. I got some plugs to do. Do some writing on my Medium blog, damian.sherman.com, over there on Letterboxd. I'm pretty active. I actually haven't watched a movie in the past weeks. I've been gaming a lot on Escape from Tarkov, but usually I'm pretty active over there. B for Benedetta on Letterboxd. Film essayist on YouTube. Go to anchor.com to make a podcast. And I have a bunch of interviews with Cinematech and B.R. Yeager, who wrote one of my favorite books of the year, Negative Space. So check all that out on the feed there. So, believe anybody else got anything to plug or to chat about, now would be the time. Forever hold your peace.
I've
think
been
I'm
holding
good.
my peace for an hour.
Okay.
I've been holding
go
my
pee
pee
for an hour.
I'm gonna go take a shower.
Yes. All right. Can I say something? I've been Damian.
And I am
I've been
Andy.
D.
Bye.